Chapter 1492. Miss, I've gathered information on Pill Master Lin Fan and Tang Ao. Just as Shin Luoli was looking at Lin Fan on the pill refining platform, the servant girl beside her sent a message to Shin Luoli. Shin Luoli nodded, indicating for her to speak. Shin Luoli was very confident in Nine Colored Deer Merchant Association's information network. The reason Nine Colored Deer Merchant Association was able to develop to its current scale was largely due to its information network. Thus, Shin Luoli didn't find it strange that they found information on Lin Fan so quickly. Though Zhang Zifan didn't hear the contents of the soul remembrance transmission between the servant girl and Shin Luoli, he could guess what the servant girl said to Shin Luoli. Thus, Zhang Zifan smiled and said, Nine Colored Deer Merchant Association's information network truly lives up to its name. Since you found information, why don't you tell me? Hearing Zhang Zifan's words, Shin Luoli rolled her eyes at Zhang Zifan, but she nodded to the servant girl. Though Golden Seeking Pavilion's information network wasn't as fast as Nine Colored Deer Merchant Association, Shin Luoli knew that with Golden Seeking Pavilion's power, it wouldn't be a problem to find this information. Shin Luoli nodded. The servant girl said very straightforwardly, Tang Ao, Qing Yun Alliance martial artist, Qing Yun Alliance subsidiary faction, Qing Yun Village's vice village chief. Current cultivation is at the peak of the 5th level of the body refining realm. His pill refining skills are superb, and he is a top-tier 9-star pill refiner. Currently, he has used 100 Battle Spear Soul, Green Lotus Sword Soul, and an unknown Golden Life Soul. His fighting strength is extremely strong, and he defeated Ho Tianxi, who was at the 6th level of the body refining realm, at the 5th level of the body refining realm. It's hard to find an opponent in the same realm. Zhang Zifan silently sighed at the power of Nine Colored Deer Merchant Association's information network. A long time ago, he had sent people from Golden Seeking Pavilion to find information on Tang Ao, but the people he sent still hadn't returned. Just now, he had personally seen Lin Fan concoct the extreme grade raising energy pill. Thus, Shin Luoli had sent the servant girl to find information on Tang Ao. Yet, in this short period of time, this servant girl even knew the life soul that Tang Ao used. Just this. Although the maidservant said some important information, Zhang Zifan obviously wanted to know some other information. Hearing Zhang Zifan's words, Shin Luoli said angrily, Zhang Zifan, you really don't think of yourself as an outsider. After saying that, Shin Luoli looked at the maid. Do you know where Tang Ao came from? Who did he learn alchemy from? After Shin Luoli asked this question, Zhang Zifan nodded inwardly. Although this information did not seem important, if one wanted to understand a person, knowing their origins was clearly the most direct way. However, to Shin Luoli's disappointment, even the Nine Colored Deer Merchant Guild's information network, which had lasted for hundreds of years, was unable to uncover Tang Ao's origins. Tang Ao's background is unknown, and so is his master. He came to the Hidden Dragon Crypt half a year ago and joined the Qing Yun League. Because he helped Qing Yun Village resist the Beast Tide, he was elected as the village chief by Qing Yun Village. A few days ago, he spread the news that he is a 6-star alchemist. His purpose is unknown. Fortunately, at this moment, Tang Ao was not here, so Tang Ao still did not know that his information had been investigated so clearly. After Lin Fan succeeded in concocting the pill, the alchemy platform returned to calm again. Tang Ao and the others were still concocting their own pills. But this peace did not last for long. 2 pillars of light practically shot up into the sky from the alchemy platform at the same time. Chapter 1493. Lu Yuan had been refining pills for a longer time than Lin Fan. Similarly, the quality of Lu Yuan's pills was higher than Lin Fan's as well. Not long ago, with the help of Tang Ao, Lin Fan was only able to refine a 1-star Supreme Grade Vitality cultivating pill. But now Lu Yuan had refined a 3-star Supreme Grade Vitality cultivating pill. Although it wasn't 6-star and was still an ordinary Supreme Grade Vitality cultivating pill, this was already very good. Seeing Lin Fan, Lu Yuan, and Gong Yangzhou successfully refined supreme grade vitality cultivating pills, all the martial artists who came to watch the alchemy conference felt that their trip was worthwhile. Because in the last 3 alchemy conferences, although there were many alchemists who tried to refine the essence-nurturing pill at the end, without exception, these alchemists failed in the end. This was the first time an alchemist had successfully refined a supreme grade vitality augmenting pill consecutively in the history of the alchemy conference. After seeing Lu Yuan's pill, everyone hurried over to see Gong Yangzhou's pill. The moment they saw Gong Yangzhou's pill, many people were stunned. This was because the top-grade vitality augmenting pill refined by Gong Yangzhou had actually lit up 7 of the 9 squares on the light pillar. In other words, the top-grade vitality augmenting pill refined by Gong Yangzhou was impressively a 7-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill. After seeing Gong Yangzhou's 7-star supreme grade vitality cultivating pill, even the 5 alchemists in charge of judging couldn't remain calm. Countless cultivators might not have seen a top-grade essence augmenting pill in their lifetime, or perhaps only a few times in their lifetime. However, these 5 people often saw it. Among the 5 of them, besides Xia Qingfeng, whose alchemy ability was slightly weaker, the other 4 had refined top-grade essence augmenting pills many times. But this was the first time they had seen such a high-level supreme grade vitality cultivating pill. Not far away, in the VIP seats, Shun Luoli's beautiful eyes were shining. Gong Yangzhou was an alchemist trained by the 9-Color Deer Chamber of Commerce. Although Gong Yangzhou couldn't refine a pill like the Heavy Yang pill, he didn't disappoint Shun Luoli this time. He actually managed to refine a 7-star top-grade vitality raising pill. Zhang Zifan could only smile helplessly when he saw Gong Yangzhou refine a 7-star supreme grade vitality cultivating pill. Zhang Zifan had been traveling around the Flying Star continent for many years and had seen countless rare treasures. Zhang Zifan had seen a 6-star top-grade essence augmenting pill several times, but this was the first time he had seen a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Zhang Zifan wouldn't have believed that a 7-star top-grade vitality enhancing pill existed in this world. Previously, he had made a bet with Shun Luoli to see who between Tang Ao and Guang Jiao could refine a higher-grade pill. Now, Gong Yangzhou was the first to refine a pill. Moreover, it was a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill. Although Zhang Zifan had no doubt that Tang Ao could successfully refine a supreme grade vitality augmenting pill, Zhang Zifan still felt that it was very unrealistic for Tang Ao to refine a supreme grade vitality augmenting pill that was above the 7-star level. Because after Gong Yangzhou took the lead in refining a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill, if he wanted to win, then Tang Ao would at least need to refine an 8-star top-grade essence augmenting pill. However, a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill was already very rare. An 8-star top-grade essence augmenting pill was definitely unrealistic for Zhang Zifan. Moreover, because Gong Yangzhou refined a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill first. Even if Tang Ao refined a 7-star top-grade essence augmenting pill, he would still lose the bet with Shun Luoli. Chapter 1494. Di Wenming quickly came to Gong Yangzhou's side after Gong Yangzhou refined such a high-grade elixir. Di Wenming cupped his fists at Gong Yangzhou and said, "Alchemist Gong Yangzhou, please wait a moment. Our alliance leader invites alchemist Gong Yangzhou to the Alchemy Guild for a chat." Just now, Di Wenming received a voice transmission from Lin Ruchong, asking him to invite Gong Yangzhou to the Alchemy Guild for a chat. If Gong Yangzhou was an unaffiliated alchemist, Lin Ruchong would naturally take the initiative to pull him into the Alchemy Guild, just like how he invited Tang Ao in the second round. Unfortunately, Gong Yangzhou was the chief alchemist of the 9-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce, so it was unrealistic to invite him to join the Alchemy Guild. However, Lin Ruchong really admired Gong Yangzhou's alchemy level, because even Lin Ruchong himself couldn't refine 7-star top-grade vitality cultivating pills. In Lin Ruchong's several times of alchemy, the highest grade vitality cultivating pill he refined was only 6-star. As for 7-star top-grade vitality cultivating pills, he didn't even manage to refine 7-star top-grade vitality cultivating pills. Therefore, after seeing Gong Yangzhou successfully refine 7-star top-grade vitality cultivating pills, Lin Ruchong was very moved. This was because alchemists would improve very quickly when they first started learning alchemy. However, when an alchemist's alchemy skills reached a certain level, it wasn't so easy to make further progress. At this time, alchemists of the same level were needed to verify and understand each other. 6 years ago, Lin Ruchong was able to achieve a 60% success rate when he refined the Supreme Grade Vitality Augmenting Pill. Furthermore, the Supreme Grade Vitality Augmenting Pills that he refined over the years had basically reached the 6-star level. However, after reaching this level, it became difficult for Lin Ruchong to continue improving his alchemy skills. After so many years, Lin Ruchong hadn't made the progress he wanted. Therefore, after seeing Gong Yangzhou refine 7-star top-grade vitality cultivating pills, Lin Ruchong immediately invited Gong Yangzhou. The reason why Gong Yangzhou followed Shenluoli to the Crouching Dragon Market was to visit Lin Ruchong. However, Lin Ruchong had avoided meeting him previously, so Shenluoli was also rejected. However, Gong Yangzhou didn't dare to take this matter to heart. This time, their main purpose was to ask for pills for the 9-colored Deer Chamber of Commerce. Now that Lin Ruchong had taken the initiative to invite him, it was obvious that he had something to ask of him. Since that was the case, it would naturally be much easier to ask Lin Ruchong for the Heavy Yang pill. But at this time, Gong Yangzhou didn't know that because of him and Tang Ao, Shenluoli was already holding a bottle of Chongyang pills in her hand. Although Zhang Zifan and Shenluoli's bet was to see who among Tang Ao and Gong Yangzhou could refine the best quality cultivating essence pill, and now Tang Ao's pill had no way out, Zhang Zifan had already given up struggling. As far as Zhang Zifan knew, Gong Yangzhou was probably the only pill refiner on the Facian continent who could refine the rare vitality augmenting pill. The so-called Supreme Grade Vitality Augmenting Pill referred to the Supreme Grade Vitality Augmenting Pill above the 6-star level. For low-level martial artists, they might not even dare to dream that they would possess a top-grade essence cultivating pill. However, for disciples of large factions like them, it was not difficult to obtain a top-grade essence cultivating pill. However, if he wanted to obtain a top-grade vitality nourishing pill that was above the 6-star level, he could only dream about it. Chapter 1495. Tang Ao was also surprised that Gong Yangzhou was able to concoct a 7-star top-quality cultivating yuan pill. This was because Tang Ao couldn't imagine that Gong Yangzhou's method of mixing batter could actually concoct such a high-level pill. As for the grade of Gong Yangzhou's pill, Tang Ao didn't care. If Tang Ao wanted to, 3 days ago, when Tang Ao had refined the 100 flower fruits medicinal essence to 98% purity, Tang Ao could have concocted an 8-star top-quality cultivating yuan pill. However, Tang Ao didn't do that. This time, Tang Ao Alchemy's goal was to concoct the highest quality cultivating yuan pill. Zhuyi's thoughts were the same as Tang Ao's, but Zhuyi wasn't as patient as Tang Ao. After seeing Gong Yangzhou and Lu Yuan concoct pills, Zhuyi took a deep breath and began to combine the medicinal essences to concoct the pill. Zhuyi himself knew that his state of mind was in a mess. However, although his state of mind wasn't bad, after seeing Gong Yangzhou concoct a 7-star top-quality cultivating yuan pill, Zhuyi's state of mind was still greatly impacted. If he didn't concoct the pill now, his state of mind would be in a complete mess, and his pill concoction would end in failure. It had to be said that Zhuyi's choice was very correct, because when Zhuyi was preparing to concoct the pill, Tang Ao had finally refined the 100 flower fruits medicinal essence to 99% purity. If he hadn't concocted it himself, Tang Ao didn't believe that he could refine the 100 flower fruits medicinal essence to 99% purity. The 100 flower fruit was a very special gradeless spirit herb. Not only was it useful for concocting top-quality cultivating yuan pills, But most of the pills that Tang Ao knew could be added with the 100-flower fruit to increase the medicinal effect. However, using the 100-flower fruit wasn't easy. Even with Tang Ao's soul remembrance, Tang Ao had to continuously refine it for 9 days before he could refine the 100-flower fruit's medicinal essence. If it were any other alchemist under this state of soul remembrance, they probably wouldn't even need half a day to exhaust their soul remembrance and declare the pill concoction a failure. Hence, although the 100-flower fruit was useful, not every alchemist could use it. After purifying the essence of the 100-flower fruit to 99%, Tang Ao did not continue to break through. However, Tang Ao could clearly sense that 99% was not his limit. It was just that the other alchemists had already finished refining the pills, and even Zhuo Yi had reached the end, so Tang Ao could not continue refining the medicinal liquid essence. Furthermore, there were still many things waiting for Tang Ao to do. He did not know what was going on with the Murong clan, and whether Chu Xuahan, who was under house arrest in the Flying Star Alliance, had been wronged. However, regardless of whether Tang Ao wanted to help Murong Xian, who had saved his life, or whether he wanted to go to the Flying Star Alliance to save Chu Xuahan, Tang Ao had to improve his cultivation. Previously, Tang Ao had no way of doing so, but now it was much easier. Whether it was using the Pill Alliance's resources to snowball, exploring the Evergreen Valley with experts, or even using the Emperor Jade Altar's soul power essence, no matter what method he used, Tang Ao could improve his cultivation by leaps and bounds in an extremely short amount of time. Wong! A loud bell rang out. It was Zhuo Yi, who was behind Tang Ao, who had slapped his own cauldron with his palm. Following Zhuo Yi's slap, 3 pills glowing with golden light were pulled out by Zhuo Yi and placed into a jade bottle that he had prepared beforehand. At this point, 4 out of the 5 alchemists on the alchemy platform had already succeeded in concocting the supreme grade vitality cultivating pill. Chapter 1496. Zhuo Yi and Gong Yangjiu were alchemists of the same generation. Among the martial artists of the Flying Star Continent, there was a saying that Gong Yangjiu was above ground, while Zhuo Yi was below ground. Thus, although he and Gong Yangjiu didn't interact much, the two of them were secretly competing. That was also why he had such a huge reaction after Gong Yangjiu concocted a top-grade 7-star essence augmenting pill. Of course, at this moment, Zhuo Yi still secretly admired Tang Ao, because in this alchemy conference, 5 alchemists were concocting top-grade essence augmenting pills together. Now, 4 alchemists had successively succeeded, but Tang Ao was still unmoved. If he had Tang Ao's temperament, then this time, it was extremely likely that he would be able to concoct a top-grade 8-star essence augmenting pill. In the decades that Zhuo Yi had been concocting pills, Zhuo Yi had naturally experienced countless failures. But in the past, every failure was caused by a flaw in his alchemy technique. And this time, Zhuo Yi was very unwilling. He actually had a problem with his mental state. Although he was unwilling, he still opened the jade bottle in his hand, then took out a pill from the jade bottle and placed it into the groove of the pill testing stone. After Zhuo Yi placed the pill into the groove of the pill testing stone, a gentle force was emitted from the pill testing stone, lifting Zhuo Yi's pill into the air. Shortly after, 6 small squares on the golden pillar of light lit up. Looking at the remaining 3 dimmed squares, a hint of disappointment flashed through Zhuo Yi's eyes. Although he had concocted a top-grade 6-star essence augmenting pill, and Gong Yangjiu had concocted a top-grade 7-star essence augmenting pill, the two were only separated by 1 small level. But Zhuo Yi and the majority of the alchemists present understood that the grade of a top-grade essence augmenting pill could be said to be like ascending to the heavens with every step. It seemed like there was only a difference of 1 small level, but the effects of the two were like heaven and earth. Many martial artists who cultivated to the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm would want to find a top-grade 6-star essence augmenting pill to break through to the origin martial realm. It was because top-quality origin cultivating pills of 6-star and above were 100% able to help martial artists at the peak of the 9th level of the body refinement realm break into the origin realm. Of course, There were also some martial artists who could not find top-grade vitality augmenting pills of the 6-star level and above. They could only settle for the slightly weaker top-grade vitality augmenting pills. But even a 6-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill, which was only one level weaker than a 7-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill, could only increase the chances of a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm by less than 30%. Although he wasn't very satisfied with the 6-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill he had refined, Xiao Zhen and Di Wenming still came down to congratulate Zhi. This was because he was able to refine a 6-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill. At the very least, in terms of refining vitality augmenting pills, he had already reached the same alchemy level as Lin Ruchang. Sigh. Zhui could only helplessly smile bitterly in response to everyone's congratulations before leaving the alchemy platform. After Zhui also left, only Tang Ao was left on the alchemy platform. Because Tang Ao was the only alchemist left, many martial artists who wanted to leave suppressed the restlessness in their hearts and patiently waited for Tang Ao alchemy to finish. At this time, no one thought that Tang Ao would fail in his alchemy. Although it was unlikely that Tang Ao's alchemy would surpass Zhuyi's and Gong Yangjiu's, Tang Ao was the biggest dark horse in this alchemy conference. Everyone still wanted to see if Tang Ao could create another miracle. On the alchemy platform, Tang Ao calmly opened his eyes. The purity of the 100-flower fruit had already been refined to 99% by him. The medicinal essences of the other medicinal herbs had also been refined long ago. Just now, Tang Ao had been quietly sitting and adjusting his condition. At this moment, Tang Ao's condition had also recovered to its peak. Under the gaze of everyone, Tang Ao, who had been sitting cross-legged, stood up. Chapter 1497. Before Tang Ao, Lin Fan had also used elixir skills to cultivate elixirs. However, Lin Fan's elixir skills were far inferior to Tang Ao's. Lin Fan's elixir skills were based on the wordless pill manual. It was too complicated, and Lin Fan himself was not proficient enough. But Tang Ao was different. Tang Ao had cultivated countless cauldrons of elixirs. Tang Ao had long memorized the Shennong Emperor's elixir skills. On the elixir refining platform, as Tang Ao struck out with his elixir skills, the crimson flames in the cauldron danced around. In the middle of the flames, 27 spiritual herb essences flowed slowly. With a change of Tang Ao's hand seal, the medicinal liquid essence immediately fused in a specific order under Tang Ao's guidance. The flames in the cauldron burned brightly. The terrifying temperature made it impossible for people to see what was happening in the cauldron. Not long after, a faint pill fragrance wafted out of the cauldron. As the enchantment around the elixir refining platform had long been removed, the martial artists who were closer to the platform could smell the faint pill fragrance. Previously, there were 4 alchemists who had successfully cultivated the supreme grade vitality cultivation pill. Hence, after smelling the pill fragrance, everyone knew that Tang Ao's elixir was about to be refined. But what confused everyone was that according to the previous rules, the thicker the pill fragrance, the higher the grade of the elixir. If they were to judge based on the pill fragrance alone, Tang Ao's cauldron of elixirs seemed to be slightly worse than Lin Fan's. If this happened to other alchemists, everyone would think that it was reasonable. But Tang Ao was different. Tang Ao was the biggest dark horse of this year's conference. In the first 2 rounds of competition, Tang Ao had taken first place in 2 rounds. Hence, no matter what the reason was, Tang Ao's elixir should not be this bad. As for whether the Heavy Yang pill or the Supreme Grade Vitality Augmenting pill was more difficult to refine, there was still no conclusion. However, most alchemists were biased towards the Heavy Yang pill. Tang Ao was able to concoct the unique Grade Chongyang pill. So even if Tang Ao wasn't familiar with concocting the Supreme Grade Vitality Cultivating pill, Tang Ao shouldn't be any worse than a new pill refiner like Lin Fan. Not only were the martial artists who did not know alchemy puzzled, but some of the alchemists in the audience were also puzzled. Although the pill fragrance could only be used as a reference to the quality of the pill, its influence on the grade of the pill was not absolute. However, for the essence-augmenting pill, the richer the pill fragrance, the higher the grade of the essence-augmenting pill. On the alchemy platform, Tang Ao's expression was very indifferent, and one could not see any emotional fluctuations from his expression. It was as if no matter what grade the pill he refined, it would not affect his state of mind. But in fact, Tang Ao was also confused. There was no need to talk about other pills, but the stronger the pill fragrance of the essence-augmenting pill, the higher the grade of the essence-augmenting pill. According to Tang Ao's thoughts, his batch of pills should at least be equivalent to a few bottles of 8-star essence-augmenting pills. However, after smelling the faint pill fragrance, Tang Ao couldn't help but feel a little dazed. What is going on? Tang Ao's heart was filled with questions, but Tang Ao's expression was very indifferent. But no matter how indifferent Tang Ao's expression was, there would still be problems after the pill was extracted and placed into the pill testing stone. Tang Ao's eyeballs turned. Then he struck out with one hand, and the black rock alchemy furnace let out a light sound like a jade pendant colliding. Chapter 1498. Tang Ao felt like vomiting blood as he sensed the weak spiritual aura coming from the 3 pills. Not only was it harder to refine the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill that he had spent so much effort to improve, the quality of the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill was also so poor. Although Tang Ao had discovered that there was something wrong with the vitality augmenting pill, his expression was still calm with a hint of arrogance. No one could tell what Tang Ao was thinking. In fact, Tang Ao did not know what to think at the moment. Tang Ao just felt that this was not right. Compared to the original recipe of the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill, his improved recipe was definitely a huge improvement. However, the result of the refinement told Tang Ao that his improved recipe was not as good as the original recipe. Moreover, because Tang Ao had used the 100-flower fruit, the refinement of the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill had become even more difficult. It could be said that after Tang Ao used the 100-flower fruit as a supplementary spirit herb, it was impossible for the alchemists of the Flying Star Continent to refine the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill using Tang Ao's recipe without a period of practice. However, once these alchemists were familiar with the purification of the 100-flower fruit and could increase the purity of the essence of the 100-flower fruit, it would not be that difficult to refine the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill. Currently, the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill was considered to be as difficult as the Chongyang pill. However, as long as the purification technique of the 100-flower fruit was mastered, the difficulty of refining the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill would become the same as refining the superior grade vitality augmenting pill. In other words, if Tang Ao's recipe could be popularized, then any alchemist who could refine superior grade vitality augmenting pill would be able to refine supreme grade vitality augmenting pill. In fact, many spirit herbs were commonly used on the Flying Star Continent, from the inferior to the superior vitality augmenting pill. Therefore, the spirit herbs needed to refine superior grade vitality augmenting pill were still a little scarce. However, the spirit herbs needed to refine supreme grade vitality augmenting pill were completely different. Across the entire Flying Star Continent, there were indeed many spiritual herbs that could be used to refine supreme grade spirit augmenting pills. However, there were no more than 20 alchemists who could refine supreme grade spirit augmenting pills. 20 alchemists might seem like a lot, but after considering the vast number of martial artists on the Flying Star Continent, 20 alchemists were really not a lot. On average, only one martial artist out of every 10 million people would be fortunate enough to enjoy a supreme grade vitality augmenting pill. Of course, the group of people sitting in the VIP seats were people who could frequently come into contact with a supreme grade vitality cultivation pill. This was naturally not because of how powerful they were, but because their background were truly extraordinary. However, it was still too early to consider how to promote this elixir recipe. If Tang Ao used this improved elixir recipe to refine a top-grade vitality augmenting pill of low quality, then whether others could use this recipe to refine a top-grade vitality augmenting pill was still up for debate. With an anxious heart, Tang Ao calmly opened the jade bottle in his hand and took out a pill from the jade bottle. With mixed feelings, Tang Ao placed this supreme-grade vitality augmenting pill into the groove on the elixir testing stone. Suddenly, an incomparably dazzling and majestic golden pillar of light abruptly shot into the sky. Within the pillar of light, the shadow of a golden dragon soared up and let out a deafening dragon roar. Immediately after, Tang Ao saw the 9 small squares on the golden light pillar light up one after another. In the end, a dazzling golden light burst out of it. Chapter 1499. However, this scene made Tang Ao feel a little confused. The scene of the elixir testing stone in front of him was clearly a sign of the birth of a 9-star supreme-grade essence augmenting pill. However, was the pill he was refining really a 9-star supreme-grade essence augmenting pill? Tang Ao thought to himself. However, no matter what Tang Ao thought, Tang Ao was still a little confused at the moment. Although he was confused, Tang Ao still had a natural expression on his face. Seeing Tang Ao's expression, many of the martialists below the alchemy platform immediately understood. It turned out that Tang Ao had already known that he was refining a supreme-grade essence augmenting pill. That was why he had been so relaxed when opening the furnace. There was even a trace of pride in his eyes. Nobody present, including Tang Ao, had ever seen a 9-star supreme-grade essence augmenting pill. However, the elixir testing stone was absolutely convincing. The origin of this elixir testing stone was not simple. It was said to have been left behind by a legendary supreme being. No one knew how strong a so-called supreme being was. However, there were many stories about supreme beings in the Phasian continent. There was already evidence of their existence. At this moment, Tang Ao naturally did not know that this elixir testing stone had so many stories. Although the elixir testing stone had confirmed that he was refining a 9-star pill, Tang Ao was still a little uncertain. Therefore, after thinking for a moment, Tang Ao opened the jade bottle in his hand again. Then, under the shocked gazes of the martialists, Tang Ao took out a supreme-grade essence augmenting pill from the jade bottle and swallowed it. The supreme-grade essence augmenting pill melted in Tang Ao's mouth. Then, a terrifying wave of essence augmenting pill erupted from Tang Ao's body. The surrounding martialists, who were closest to the alchemy platform, were directly blown away by this frightening essence augmenting pill and fell to the ground. Tang Ao's expression also changed greatly. Although Tang Ao also needed a large amount of essence augmenting pill to restore his cultivation, Tang Ao did not expect this ordinary-looking pill to be so domineering. At this moment, there seemed to be a ball of fire burning in Tang Ao's dantian. Not only that, Tang Ao's meridians also felt a burning sensation. If he was in a quiet and safe place, Tang Ao would be very happy to absorb and refine this huge amount of yuan qi. But now, Tang Ao didn't have such an ideal environment. This was because after the initial shock, countless cultivators had already rushed towards the alchemy platform with fiery eyes. At this moment, including the supreme grade essence augmenting pill that Tang Ao had concocted, there were a total of 14 supreme grade essence augmenting pills on the alchemy platform. In addition, there were many high-grade and mid-grade essence augmenting pills. High-grade and medium-grade essence augmenting pills were still possible, but top-grade essence augmenting pills were things that many people might not have the chance to obtain in their lifetime. But now, these 10 top-grade essence augmenting pills were so close to them. If one were to say that greed could not overcome rationality, that would be because the temptation of treasures was too small. However, at this moment, the temptation of these 14 supreme vitality cultivating pills was clearly big enough. Xiao Zhen and the others immediately realized that something was wrong. Without saying anything, Xiao Zhan waved his hands, and 12 array flags flew out from his sleeves. Then the barrier that had been closed just now reappeared. But this time, before the barrier could close, an incomparably sharp black shadow instantly appeared beside the barrier. Then, an incomparably fierce fist blasted out. Chapter 1500. This set of bone spurs was not ordinary. It was a damaged, immortal tool. This was not the first time that Tang Ao had seen such an immortal tool in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. However, what Tang Ao did not understand was that although there were many immortal tools in the Hidden Dragon Crypt, almost all of them were damaged. There was not a single complete immortal tool. In this situation, the first person that Tang Ao suspected was naturally Shi Xianyan. It was possible that Shi Xianyan had used some means to plunder the good immortal tools in advance. After all, Shi Xianyan was a Muddy Heaven Realm expert. Who knew when Shi Xianyan came to the Hidden Dragon Crypt? In fact, Tang Ao's guess was not completely wrong. When Shi Xianyan came to the Hidden Dragon Crypt, the 8 major forces had not joined hands to open up the Hidden Dragon Crypt yet. Yes, the Hidden Dragon Crypt was not a place where the Dragon Prison Castle, one of the 8 major forces, imprisoned martial artists. Instead, it was shared by the 8 Overlord forces. The Hidden Dragon Crypt was of such a scale because the 8 Overlord forces had joined hands to open it up. The reason why it was opened up like this was naturally to defend against some mysterious vicious beast in the Evergreen Valley. However, the 8 major forces later discovered that there were other solutions, and they only needed to continuously send martial artists here. After this discovery, the 8 Overlord forces began to take turns to manage the Hidden Dragon Crypt. In these 1,000 years, it just so happened that it was the Dragon Prison Castle's turn. As long as it was a core disciple of a major force, all of them knew about this. However, most of the grassroots martial artists who were captured here only saw the martial artists of the Dragon Prison Castle in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. As a result, they spread false rumors and thought that the Hidden Dragon Crypt was the place where the Dragon Prison Castle imprisoned the martial artists. Gotcha! The sturdy barrier could not withstand a single blow from the black-clothed martial artist. After shattering the barrier with a single punch, the black-clothed martial artist immediately punched out several times in succession. Following these punches, the barrier completely shattered. All the martial artists rushed onto the pill refining platform. Some of the faster martial artists even grabbed the medicinal pills on the pill testing stone and put them into their storage rings. As for the first martial artist, he had no interest in ordinary pills. After breaking the enchantment, this person did not say anything and rushed towards Tang Ao. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed Tang Ao like an eagle grabbing a chick. Obviously, he wanted to take Tang Ao away. Damn, Tang Ao was speechless in his heart. Although Tang Ao knew that he might encounter danger after exposing his alchemy level, Tang Ao really didn't expect that he would encounter such a thing when he just showed his talent. Furthermore, Tang Ao was certain that this black-clothed cultivator was very shrewd. He had not tried to snatch the medicinal pill at this time, but instead directly targeted Tang Ao. Obviously, he knew that no matter how many pills he snatched, he would eventually run out of them. However, as long as he could capture an alchemist, he would have an endless supply of pills. Moreover, the spirit grasses needed to concoct supreme, grade yuan cultivating pills were not that rare, because there were too few alchemists that could concoct them. Even if these alchemists concocted pills day and night, they would not be able to use up all the spirit grasses. Therefore, this black-clothed martial artist decided that he would take Tang Ao away this time. However, it was clear that this black-clothed martial artist was not the only one who had his eyes on Tang Ao. Before his hand could even touch Tang Ao's body suddenly felt light. With a sweep of his soul remembrance, Tang Ao discovered that a laughing, bald fatty had unknowingly appeared behind him. Chapter 1501. At this moment, if Luo Mo insisted on not putting Tang Ao down, then his heart would be shattered by the long sword in the cold and elegant woman's hand. After his little life was threatened, Luo, Mo naturally didn't dare to continue holding on to Tang Ao. The instant Luo, Mo put Tang Ao down, without waiting for Tang Ao to stabilize his body, Tang Ao felt his body lighten. Soon after, Tang Ao's waist was bound by a metal chain that was as thick as an arm. On the other side of the metal chain was a martial artist whose entire body was shrouded in blood qi. Seeing this martial artist, Tang Ao's heart froze. Although Tang Ao didn't know who this person was, Tang Ao was sure that this was a martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique. Moreover, this martial artist was different from the body refining realm 9th level Wuhan. This martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique was an expert at the first level of the origin martial realm. With a thought from Tang Ao, the green lotus sword soul instantly appeared behind Tang Ao. Soon after, under Tang Ao's control, the green lotus sword soul chopped towards the metal chain on Tang Ao's body. Although the current green lotus sword soul was incomparably weak, this kind of metal chain wasn't much of a challenge to the green lotus sword soul. With a ding sound, the metal chain around Tang Ao's body was chopped apart by the green lotus sword soul. However, just as Tang Ao stood up, he felt a sudden pain from his back. Immediately after, he heard the sound of bones breaking. Without even looking, Tang Ao knew that his left ribs had all been smashed apart. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance and discovered a black-clothed man whose body was completely wrapped up. In his hands, he was holding a huge hammer that had smashed into his back. It was obvious that he wanted to attack Tang Ao's back with that strike, but he didn't expect that Tang Ao could still control the green lotus sword soul to break the chains after being completely bound. Although this martial artist was wrapped up tightly, Tang Ao still mistook him for someone else. Although his aura had been changed by pills, Tang Ao could only say that the pill rank he used was too low and couldn't hide from Tang Ao's soul remembrance. This person was none other than Wang Kuan, the direct disciple of the Alchemy Alliance's Alliance Master, Lin Ruchang. Seeing that Tang Ao was besieged and injured, Xiao Zhen and the others immediately flew into a rage and rushed over. But at this moment, the entire alchemy platform was in a mess. Even Xiao Zhen and the others could not move freely. Without waiting for Xiao Zhen and the others to arrive, the black-clothed martial artist that attacked Tang Ao first immediately grabbed at Tang Ao. Tang Ao was only at the peak of the 5th level of the body refinement realm. After being heavily injured by Wang Kuan, his movements became even slower. Therefore, Tang Ao could only watch as this black-clothed martial artist grabbed at him. He couldn't dodge at all. Impudent. At this moment, Lin Ruchang's voice rang out. Subsequently, Tang Ao felt an incomparably powerful yuan qi wrap around him. It seemed to want to send him out of the alchemy platform. However, although this soul remembrance was powerful, it clearly wasn't strong enough. Tang Ao knew that this wasn't because Lin Ruchang's strength was insufficient, but because Lin Ruchang was injured. Just based on Lin Ruchang's powerful yuan qi, Tang Ao could determine that Lin Ruchang was definitely one of the top 10 peak martial artists in the Flying Star continent. However, Tang Ao didn't understand how such a powerful martial artist could be injured. Perhaps it was because he was injured that Lin Ruchang wasn't willing to show himself. However, now that such a change had occurred in the alchemy conference, Lin Ruchang had no choice but to show himself. If it was in the past, Lin Ruchang would be able to control the situation even if he didn't make a move. However, now that Lin Ruchang had appeared and decisively killed the two troublemakers, he still couldn't control the situation. Under the temptation of so many high-grade and supreme-grade vitality cultivating pills, it was clear that many martial artists had completely lost their rationality. Chapter 1502. In just a few dozen breaths, the scene was already chaotic and out of control. Tang Ao was secretly complaining in his heart because Lin Ruchang's essence Qi Giant Hand did not send him away. Instead, after flying for a distance in the air, Tang Ao fell from the sky. Due to his injuries, Tang Ao's essence chi was in a mess, and he could not stop his fall. Tang Ao swore that if he recovered his strength, he would let these people know what cruelty was. However, to Tang Ao's surprise, he did not fall to the ground. Instead, he fell on a soft body. Tang Ao looked up and saw that the silver-haired woman who attacked Luo Mo had caught him. At this moment, Tang Ao was climbing on her back. Although the cold woman's body was unusually beautiful, Tang Ao was not in the mood to think about it. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that even if he fell into this woman's hands, he would not have a good ending. However, it was not easy for this woman to take him away. Luo Mo was caught off guard by her. At this moment, Luo Mo's knife was aimed at her lower abdomen. However, this cold and elegant woman was not only cold and elegant, but she was also extremely callous. Facing Luo Mo's attack, not only did she not dodge, she grabbed Tang Ao and pushed him towards the tip of Luo Mo's saber. Tang Ao was speechless. "Did I offend you? You actually used such a cruel method to harm me." Fortunately, Luo Mo was waiting for Tang Ao to help him refine the ice thought pill. Therefore, when the tip of the knife was about to pierce Tang Ao, Luo Mo quickly stopped his attack. However, after Luo Mo stopped his attack, this silver-haired woman was clearly not easy to deal with. The sword in her hand trembled and she stabbed towards Luo Mo's throat. This move was out of Luo Mo's expectations. At this moment, Luo Mo had already used up all his strength. Under such circumstances, this cold beauty suddenly made such a move. Luo Mo simply could not avoid it. Just when the cold beauty was about to slit Luo Mo's throat, Tang Ao, who was pushed forward by the cold beauty to block the knife, suddenly took a step back and crashed into the arms of the cold beauty. Tang Ao bumped into the cold beauty's soft spot, causing her to let out a muffled groan. Luo Mo was originally prepared to die, but he didn't expect that the situation would take such a turn. Immediately, he shouted, "Brother Tang Ao is really loyal. After I kill this ugly woman, your brother Luo will take you to a good place." As Luo Mo spoke, he grabbed Tang Ao's clothes and threw Tang Ao away. At the same time, the sharp knife in his hand poured down like a torrential storm towards the silver-haired beauty. After being thrown out by Luo Mo, Tang Ao could not help but want to kill this damn fatty. However, right now, it was difficult for Tang Ao to even move, let alone compete with Luo Mo. With a pong sound this time, Tang Ao finally fell heavily to the ground. However, Tang Ao did not have any complaints in his heart. Instead, he was very grateful to Luo Mo. This was because Luo Mo's throw was more effective than Lin Ruchong's essence Chi Giant Hand. Tang Ao was directly thrown out of the crowd. Tang Ao was very happy in his heart and did not dare to be slow. Tang Ao immediately took out a healing pill from his storage ring and consumed it. Then, he controlled the life soul of the Jade Bone Life Soul to heal his injuries. However, although Tang Ao was thrown out of the crowd, at this time, there were naturally countless eyes staring at Tang Ao. Tang Ao had just consumed the pill and had not run far when Tang Ao discovered that there were warriors rapidly approaching him. Chapter 1503. After discovering that Tang Ao had escaped, some of the cultivators who didn't manage to snatch the pill immediately retreated from the battlefield and chased in the direction that Tang Ao had escaped. In the VIP seats, not far from the alchemy platform, although there was no chaos, everyone's expression was a little strange. Some of them looked at Shun Luoli and then at Zhang Zifan. But Shun Luoli obviously didn't notice these malicious gazes. Instead, she looked at Tang Ao, who was fleeing in the distance. Shun Luoli immediately said to the maid beside her, "Hong Lian, go help alchemist Tang Ao." Because Tang Ao had refined a 9-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill, Shun Luoli had returned the heavy yang pill that she had obtained from Zhang Zifan. Although Zhang Zifan didn't want it, Shun Luoli still returned it to him. Shun Luoli had always been like this. She never liked to owe others anything. Previously, she took Zhang Zifen's heavy yang pill because she felt that after Gong Yangjiu refined a 7-star quality energy cultivating pill, Tang Ao should not be able to surpass Gong Yangjiu. But Shen Luoli didn't expect that Tang Ao would be so heaven-defying. In the end, he refined a 9-star quality energy cultivating pill and caused this chaos. Even without Tang Ao's best quality vitality augmenting pill, this melee might still break out because human greed was very easy to break. However, the fact that Tang Ao had refined a 9-star top-grade vitality augmenting pill had obviously become the fuse of this chaotic battle. After Shen Luoli finished speaking, the always obedient Hong Lian didn't move at all. This made Shen Luoli feel a little strange. Hong Lian, what's wrong? Shen Luoli's beautiful eyes were very puzzled. Miss, it's better for me to stay by your side now. Shen Luoli was worried about Tang Ao's safety just now and didn't notice the strange atmosphere around her. But as Shen Luoli's personal maid, Hong Lian, noticed. If there was nothing else, these people would naturally think about how to get involved with the 9-color Deer Chamber of Commerce. But after the entire Alchemy Plaza became chaotic, these people obviously wanted to take advantage of the chaos to gain benefits. Shen Luoli didn't notice it before, but now that she came back to her senses, she immediately felt that something was wrong. Brothers, have fun. I'll be leaving first. At this moment, Zhang Zifen got up and cupped his fist to everyone and was about to leave. However, before he could take 2 steps, a cold light shot towards him. Zhang Zifen smiled bitterly and shook his head. Young Master Ling, what's the matter? It's fine. It's just that the Alchemy Plaza is too chaotic right now. He Jin was ordered by the young lord to protect alchemist Tang Ao, so it's better for the young lord to stay here. Others might not know where He Jin went, but Ling Hua could see it clearly. Just now, when something happened on the alchemy platform, Zhang Zifen had sent He Jin to protect Tang Ao. Therefore, Zhang Zifen was now alone and a fat sheep. As for He Jin, although he was ordered to protect Tang Ao, the alchemy stage was too chaotic and he couldn't find where Tang Ao was. Later, he caught a cultivator and asked, only to find out that Tang Ao had been chased by a group of cultivators outside the dragon subduing market. This gave He Jin a headache because north of the dragon subduing market was Evergreen Valley and Tang Ao was running towards the north of the dragon subduing market. According to the cultivator, Tang Ao had already run there half an hour ago. So He Jin felt that Tang Ao might have already reached the periphery of Evergreen Valley. As He Jin expected, Tang Ao had already reached the periphery of Evergreen Valley. Along the way, Tang Ao's speed was raised to the extreme. After the Jade Bone Life Soul healed Tang Ao's injuries, Tang Ao even summoned the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to fly a short distance. Chapter 1504. The essence Qi contained in the supreme grade essence cultivating pill far exceeded Tang Ao's imagination. At this moment, it was as if there were countless fire snakes scurrying around in Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao's limbs and bones felt like they were on fire, and his blood seemed to be boiling. Tang Ao knew that if he could not find a safe place to refine the essence of the essence cultivating pill, he would very likely explode from the supreme grade essence cultivating pill. This was not an exaggeration. Although the supreme grade essence augmenting pill was a rare treasure, consuming it was different from consuming ordinary immortal pills. After consuming the supreme grade essence augmenting pill, one had to immediately start guiding the boundless and majestic energy within the supreme grade essence augmenting pill. Tang Ao estimated that if he completely absorbed and refined this energy, his cultivation would at least recover to the 7th level of the body, refining realm. This was also because cultivating the 9 dragons, Emperor's Jade body, consumed too many resources. If it was an ordinary martial artist, with such a vast amount of essence Qi, they could definitely directly cultivate to the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. Although Tang Ao had pulled away from the martial artist behind him, these people still had no intention of giving up. If Tang Ao was like Xiao Zhen, Di Wenming, and the others, a 9-star alchemist and a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm, then no one would chase Tang Ao now. But unfortunately, Tang Ao was only a weak martial artist at the 5th level of the body refining realm. A weak martial artist at the 5th level of the body refining realm had the wealth of a 9-star alchemist. Who would not be envious of such a fat piece of meat? Feeling the worsening state of his body, Tang Ao knew that if he did not shake off these people behind him, he would really be in danger this time. Now, as Tang Ao fled, he suppressed the essence chi in his body that was rampaging. Although the Jade Bone Life Spirit was trying its best to guide this essence chi, without Tang Ao personally absorbing and refining it, this essence chi was still extremely violent. At this time, Tang Ao secretly thought that he had miscalculated. Just now on the refining platform, he should have only used a portion of the pill after breaking it to try. However, Tang Ao relied on the strength of the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade Body to consume a complete supreme-grade vitality, fostering elixir. In the end, Tang Ao was suffering the consequences of his own actions. Fortunately, the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade Body was extraordinary. Otherwise, if it was anyone else who consumed a supreme-grade vitality-fostering elixir, their body would have exploded immediately. Although the top-grade essence augmenting pill was also a type of medicinal pill, it was different from most medicinal pills, even high-grade essence augmenting pills. The medicinal power of the top-grade essence augmenting pill was too overbearing. Therefore, normally speaking, if one wanted to use a top-grade essence augmenting pill, they would need a pill transformation pool. Usually, when a martial artist wanted to use a top-grade essence augmenting pill, they would first prepare a pill transformation pool. The pill transformation pond was not an ordinary pond, but a pond that was reinforced by a special array formation to guide the true chi. Moreover, in the pill transformation pool, many spiritual herbs that were used to assist in the release of the supreme-grade essence augmenting pill's medicinal power had to be thrown into the pill transformation pool. Then, with the help of the pill transformation pool, one could absorb and refine the surging medicinal power of the supreme-grade essence augmenting pill. This process often lasted for 7 days or even half a month. But now, Tang Ao did not even have the time to meditate, let alone use the pill transformation pool to guide the medicinal power. Tang Ao did not even have the time to meditate. Tang Ao also understood that the martial artists behind him were relentlessly chasing him because his cultivation level was too low. If his cultivation level was similar to Lin Ruchang's, this group of rascals would not have the guts to chase him. Chapter 1505. As he fled, Tang Ao swept his boundless soul remembrance in all directions. Although Tang Ao didn't care where he fled to, if there were any powerful demon beasts nearby, Tang Ao still didn't dare offend them. After all, with Tang Ao's current cultivation, if he encountered a 9-star demon beast, Tang Ao probably wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Xiao xiao xiao. Just as Tang Ao was using his soul remembrance to investigate his surroundings, 3 butterfly darts flew past Tang Ao's hairline. The sharp energy left a bloody mark on Tang Ao's face. Tang Ao raised his head and saw that the person who had used the butterfly darts to stop him was a skinny and small martial artist. He had many hidden weapons on him. While Tang Ao was sizing up this martial artist, his pair of triangular eyes were also sizing up Tang Ao. "Brat, what's your name? Why are they chasing you? Did you steal something from them?" The triangular-eyed martial artist looked at Tang Ao and pointed at the martial artist not far away. The martial artist who was originally chasing Tang Ao was originally a bit anxious because the distance between him and Tang Ao was gradually increasing. What he never expected was that at this moment, a hot-headed youth would appear out of nowhere and unexpectedly block Tang Ao. Tang Ao was silently speechless. The reason he had used soul remembrance to find a path to run was because he was afraid of encountering such a thing. In the end, what he was afraid of really happened. Tang Ao had just released his Soul Remembrance when this martial artist blocked Tang Ao. Moreover, at this time, Tang Ao was not sure whether this person knew that he had a top-grade essence cultivating pill or not. He could only take a step back and stare at this cultivator vigilantly. At the same time, he secretly thought about how to leave this place. The martial artist in front of him was at the 7th level of the body refining realm. Although he was 2 levels higher than Tang Ao, if not for the fact that Tang Ao was not in his best condition, Tang Ao would not have cared about such a level of cultivation. Brat, I'm asking you a question. Why are you looking around? Seeing that Tang Ao wasn't speaking, the man immediately asked again. Yours truly still has some matters to attend to. I'll be leaving first. Don't let yours truly bump into you again. With that, Tang Ao fled in a different direction. Although he had just been stopped by this martial artist, Tang Ao had used his soul remembrance to find a good place. Not far from where Tang Ao was, there was a large canyon filled with miasma. Faced with this kind of miasma, an ordinary martial artist's psyche and vision would be greatly suppressed. However, because Tang Ao had the Jade Bone Life Soul, such a dangerous place was a treasure trove for Tang Ao. Therefore, after Tang Ao discovered this miasma canyon, he didn't hesitate to run towards it. Bastard, you're looking to die. This short martial artist was at the 7th level of the body refining realm. He had never been humiliated by a 5th level martial artist before. Seeing Tang Ao flee, he didn't hesitate to chase after him. In his opinion, so many martial artists were chasing Tang Ao because Tang Ao had some treasure on him. Even if he couldn't take all the treasure for himself, he had to get a share. However, Qi Lang didn't know that the treasure on Tang Ao was a top-quality cultivating yuan pill. Otherwise, Qi Lang wouldn't have given Tang Ao a chance to escape. Although Tang Ao had escaped, Qi Lang didn't think that Tang Ao could run anywhere. This was because in front of Tang Ao was the miasma canyon that he had discovered not long ago. Chapter 1506. As Qi Lang was secretly calculating in his heart, a black-clothed figure suddenly appeared in front of Qi Lang. Feeling the aura on the black-clothed person's body, Qi Lang secretly stopped his steps. The black-clothed martial artist in front of him did not restrain his aura at all. So, Qi Lang naturally knew that the black-clothed martial artist was an Origin Realm expert. Senior, I wonder what advice you have for me. Qi Lang dared to show off his prowess when facing Tang Ao, but when facing a peak expert in the Origin Realm, Qi Lang could only tuck his tail between his legs. Which direction did Tang Ao escape to? The black-clothed martial artist did not waste any words and directly asked. The black-clothed martial artist was the martial artist who destroyed the pill concocting platform not long ago. Just now, because of the image of Luo Mo and the others, he did not catch Tang Ao. After leaving the battle circle, he quickly heard news of Tang Ao and chased all the way here. Just now, when he caught up to the group of martial artists who were chasing Tang Ao, he just so happened to see Qi Lang stop Tang Ao. Immediately, Yang Miao rushed over at full speed and wanted to take down Tang Ao. But Yang Miao did not expect that Qi Lang was so trash. He could not even stop a heavily injured Tang Ao. Senior is asking about that brat just now. If he stole Senior's things, then Senior can be at ease. The direction he escaped towards is the Poison Miasma Canyon. Outside of the Poison Miasma Canyon, other than entering the Poison Miasma Canyon, there's no other way around. So as long as Senior rushes over, this brat will not be able to escape. Qi Lang said with a bit of pride in his tone. But what Qi Lang himself did not know was that the Poison Miasma Canyon was indeed in front of Tang Ao, but the Poison Miasma Canyon was no longer the place of death at the beginning. Earlier, there were already martial artists who went in to explore, and they found many good things from the Poison Miasma Canyon. So, right now, a large number of martial artists already gathered outside the Poison Miasma Canyon. Also, there were quite a few martial artists who formed teams to enter the Poison Miasma Canyon to explore. Back then, when Tang Ao was on the way to the dragon-subduing market square, he heard Zhao Tao talk about the poison miasma canyon. At that time, Tang Ao wanted to come to the poison miasma canyon to have a look. But he didn't expect that when he was escaping in a panic, he would also encounter a poison miasma canyon. But Ao was still not sure if the poison miasma canyon he encountered was the miasma canyon that Zhao. Back then, Zhao Tao and the others had found a very special type of crystal in Miasma Gorge. The crystal in Zhao Tao's hand had been taken away by Blood Moon Red. Therefore, Tang Ao did not have the opportunity to study it carefully. However, Tang Ao knew that the crystal stone contained a terrifying amount of essence energy. Also, the miasma spirit, Ao Lang. But that said, spirit was it. However, Tang Ao had felt it from the crystal stone in Zhao Tao's hand. The energy contained within the crystal stone was very special. That kind of energy was at least 100 times stronger than spiritual energy. It was even comparable to the legendary immortal spiritual energy. Zhao Tao also found a fallen star token in the poison miasma canyon. According to what Tang Ao knew, there were a total of 8 fallen star tokens. Previously, these 8 fallen star tokens were in the hands of the 8 overlord forces that ruled the Facian continent. Later, an accident happened to the Murong family, which caused the Murong family's strength to decline. They fell out of the ranks of the 8 overlord forces. At the same time, the fallen star token of the Murong family was obtained by Xiaoyu. Now, it was in the hands of Sure Union. Chapter 1507. Just as Tang Ao ran a certain distance, Tang Ao suddenly felt the view in front of him brighten. An enormous canyon entrance appeared in front of Tang Ao. At the same time, Tang Ao saw that a temporary market had appeared at the entrance of the canyon. There were alchemists concocting pills here, and there were blacksmiths repairing spirit weapons for martial artists here. There were also some martial artists looking for suitable companions to explore the canyon with. There were also some martial artists that came out of the canyon to sell the treasures they found in the canyon. Seeing this canyon entrance, Tang Ao immediately realized that he had accidentally come to the place Zhao Tao had mentioned before. Back when Zhao Tao had told Blood Yuehong about this poison miasma canyon, Zhao Tao had used his soul remembrance to sketch out the appearance of the poison miasma canyon. Though the miasma above the canyon had changed, and due to the many martial artists gathered here, the appearance of the canyon entrance had also changed, Tang Ao could still recognize that this was the place Zhao Tao had mentioned before. There was no other reason. It was because Tang Ao saw Zhao Tao and the woman next to him in the crowd in front of him again. Tang Ao remembered that this seemingly weak woman seemed to be called Wen Yao. However, Tang Ao knew that this woman looked weak, but in reality, she wasn't weak at all. Instead, she was terrifyingly scheming. Back in the dragon-subduing market, if it wasn't for Blood Yuehong's interference, Zhao Tao most likely would have fallen at this woman's hands. However, what Tang Ao didn't understand was why Wen Yao was still with Zhao Tao after so much time had passed. With her methods, if she wanted to take something from Zhao Tao, she should have gotten it already. Not only that, but the black-faced man who had a conflict with Zhao Tao was now following Zhao Tao and Wen Yao. It seemed that they had become friends after a fight, but now they had become friends. If he didn't know the inside story, Tang Ao probably would have thought so too. However, Tang Ao had seen Wen Yao communicate with this black-faced man using soul remembrance. So Tang Ao knew that Wen Yao and the black-faced man definitely knew each other. Turning enemies into friends was even more ridiculous. When Tang Ao ran here panting, a few martial artists noticed Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao didn't attract too much attention. Everyone glanced at Tang Ao and ignored him. Ever since the Yuan stream, the exotic crystal stones and the high-level spirit weapons were found and brought out of the poison miasma canyon by martial artists. More and more martial artists came from all directions. This was also because the alchemy conference was being held during this period of time. Otherwise, there would be even more warriors coming here. Tang Ao saw that these people didn't recognize him and let out a sigh of relief. However, Tang Ao didn't stay for long. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Tang Ao passed through the crowd and entered the poison miasma canyon. When Tang Ao first arrived, he didn't attract much attention. However, Tang Ao's current actions caused many people to be shocked. This person isn't an idiot, is he? At the entrance of the poison miasma canyon, a fully armed cultivator, who was about to enter the canyon, sighed when he saw Tang Ao enter. This person obviously wasn't angry because Tang Ao entered the poison miasma canyon before him, but because Tang Ao didn't prepare anything before entering the poison miasma canyon. This behavior was too rash. Chapter 1508. However, thinking was just thinking. Now, no one did it. This was because when they first arrived at the entrance of the miasma canyon, a group of martial artists, relying on their numbers, had come forward and slapped the yellow-toothed martial artist twice. As a result, the next day, the group of 11 people, including the leader, had died inexplicably in their tents. Only a delicate and pretty female martial artist had survived. Although this female martial artist survived, she was already delirious. After seeing the yellow-toothed martial artist again in the market square, the delirious female martial artist was scared to death. It was also because of this that the yellow-toothed martial artist established an illustrious reputation outside the poison miasma canyon. If there wasn't anything, no one was willing to provoke him. Fortunately, although this yellow-toothed martial artist looked wretched and extremely annoying, he normally didn't cause trouble. He had even saved people a few times in the canyon, so he wasn't that annoying in the poison miasma canyon's outskirts. Pa! A slap that hadn't been heard in a long time rang out in Huang Liulang's face. This slap directly stunned the yellow-toothed Huang Liulang. To the side, wearing silver armor, Wu Gang was also secretly shocked. Everyone had been here for almost half a month. In this half a month, there were many people that wanted to beat up Huang Liulang. However, because of the previous incident, no one dared to provoke Huang Liulang. However, what Wu Gang didn't expect was that Huang Liulang was slapped again. Moreover, the black-clothed person that slapped Huang Liulang was very unfamiliar. He had never seen him outside the poison miasma canyon before. Clearly, like Tang Ao, this person was also a newcomer. Wu Gang silently thought to himself, were these newcomers all this reckless? Just now, when Tang Ao came here, he didn't say anything and charged into the poison miasma canyon. Now, this fellow also didn't say anything and slapped Huang Liulang, who was outside the poison miasma canyon. Have you seen this person? Yang Miao took out a soul remembrance portrait in his hand. On the portrait was the image of Tang Ao at the pill refining conference. When Yang Miao chased Tang Ao all the way here, he discovered that there was a large group of cultivators gathered here. At the same time, Tang Ao's aura also disappeared here. Therefore, Yang Miao wanted to find someone to inquire about Tang Ao's whereabouts. As a result, Yang Miao saw Huang Liulang, who was smiling very much. Other people did not dare to provoke Huang Liulang, but Yang Miao was clearly not in this category. After all, in order to catch Tang Ao previously, Yang Miao directly broke the barrier of the alchemy platform in public. This was undoubtedly a slap to the face of the alchemy guild, which meant that he was prepared to become enemies with the entire alchemy guild. But even so, Yang Miao did not care at all. If it happened again, Yang Miao would still attack without hesitation. But what made Yang Miao very dissatisfied was that even if he acted fast enough and grasped the timing very well, it would even cause chaos. But up until now, he still couldn't catch Tang Ao. This made Yang Miao very dissatisfied. After cultivating to the first level of the origin martial realm, Yang Miao also felt that he had cultivated to a limit. But in Yang Miao's view, since the body refinement realm could have 9 levels, why was the origin martial realm only 1 level? Chapter 1509. Yang Miao searched for a long time in the dragon subduing cave. He found quite a few top-quality essence cultivating pills, but they were all 3-star and below trash. This time, At the alchemy conference, after seeing Gong Yangjio concoct a 7-star top-quality essence cultivating pill, Yang Miao wanted to capture Gong Yangjio to concoct pills. But what Yang Miao didn't expect was that after Gong Yangjio, Tang Ao directly concocted a 9-star top-quality essence cultivating pill. Seeing that, how could Yang Miao endure it? So, immediately, Yang Miao attacked Tang Ao without even thinking. As for Lin Ruchong, who protected Tang Ao behind the Alchemy Alliance, Yang Miao directly ignored him. Although the rumors said that Lin Ruchong was very strong, Yang Miao was definitely a martial artist at the peak of the first level of the Origin Realm. No matter how strong Lin Ruchong was, how strong could he be? The result proved that his thoughts were correct. When he attacked Tang Ao, Lin Ruchong did indeed appear. But after Lin Ruchong appeared, it was nothing. Under Lin Ruchong's eyes, Tang Ao was still heavily injured. Thinking about how Tang Ao was heavily injured by the black-clothed person, Yang Miao was a bit worried. If Tang Ao's injuries were too heavy and he kicked the bucket, where'd he go to find a pill master who could concoct a 9-star top-quality essence cultivating pill to concoct pills? Thinking about that, Yang Miao's violent temper instantly rose. Asterisk pa, asterisk, another clear sound rang out on Huang Liulang's face. Huang Lulang, who was still in a stupefied state, was slapped even more stupefied by Yang Miao. Huang Lulang really couldn't understand. He already killed more than 10 people, so why would there still be people who dared to offend him? What are you spacing out for? I'm asking you if you've seen this person before. As Yang Miao spoke, he brought the portrait of Tang Ao in his hand in front of Huang Liulang's eyes. Because under Yang Miao's perception, Tang Ao's aura disappeared at Huang Liulang's location. Also, from the remnant aura, Yang Miao deduced that Tang Ao shouldn't have left for too long. So, these two martial artists definitely saw Tang Ao just now. Yang Miao hated these types of martial artists who dilly-dallied the most. Seeing that Huang Lulang did not speak for a while, Yang Miao turned his gaze to Wu Gang. Wu Gang was very clear in his heart that this old master in front of him was someone who would even beat up Huang Lulang if he wanted to. So Wu Gang did not dare hesitate. When Yang Miao looked over, Wu Gang immediately said, "Just now I saw this little brother rush in hurriedly. The miasma in this poison miasma canyon is very strong. This bottle of poison avoidance pill is filial to senior." Not only did Wu Gang not dawdle, he even gave the antidote pill that he had prepared to use to Yang Miao. Because under Wu Gang's perception, he couldn't see through Yang Miao's cultivation at all. Wu Gang himself was a 7th-tier body refining realm martial artist. He could not sense the other party's cultivation level, which meant that the other party's cultivation level was definitely far above his. Hence, Wu Gang guessed that this Yang Miao was either a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm, or a legendary middle stage origin martial realm martial artist. After hearing that Tang Ao had already entered the miasma canyon, Yang Miao naturally wouldn't waste any more time talking to the two of them. As Yang Miao's hand rose and fell, a red palm print appeared on Huang Liulang's face. At the same time, a bottle of medicinal pills was also thrown to Wu Gang by Yang Miao. Immediately after, Yang Miao did not hesitate and directly chased after Tang Ao. Chapter 15:10. This was because he could use his dense Yuan Qi to block a normal poison miasma. However, the poison miasma here could dissolve his Yuan Qi. The Yuan Qi barrier outside his body only took a few breaths of time to dissolve in this poison miasma. This made Yang Miao secretly shocked. Immediately, Yang Miao dispersed the Yuan Qi armor on his hand, exposing his hand to the poison miasma. Feeling the change in his arm, Yang Miao secretly let out a sigh of relief. This poison miasma's corrosive effect on Yuan Qi was extremely powerful, but it didn't have such a powerful effect on a martial artist's body. Yang Miao exposed his arm to the miasma. His arm only felt a bit sore and swollen. Immediately, Yang Miao took out a poison-avoiding pill, and the feeling gradually decreased. After getting used to it for a moment, Yang Miao immediately opened his soul remembrance to search for traces of Tang Ao. Just like Yang Miao, when Tang Ao first entered this poison miasma, he used an Yuan Qi barrier to protect himself. Then, Tang Ao shockingly discovered that the poison miasma here could dissolve his Yuan Qi. Immediately, Tang Ao jumped in shock. However, Tang Ao didn't use his body to resist the poison like Yang Miao. Realizing that his poison miasma could dissolve Yuan Qi, Tang Ao was ecstatic. Because at this moment, Tang Ao's body had accumulated a terrifying amount of essence Qi due to the best quality augmenting essence Dan. If this essence Qi was not dealt with, then Tang Ao's 5 viscera and 6 bowels would be injured by the essence Qi. Since the poison miasma here could dissolve Yuan Qi, Tang Ao naturally couldn't contain his joy. Therefore, Tang Ao revolved his Yuan Qi to the extreme along the way, drawing out all the accumulated Yuan Qi in his body. At the same time, he revolved his cultivation technique to absorb and refine the Yuan Qi. Although this would cause Tang Ao to lose more than half of his Yuan Qi, now that Tang Ao had successfully refined a 9-star supreme grade Yuan cultivating pill, Tang Ao didn't lack cultivation resources. Moreover, right now, Tang Ao was in Flying Star Continent's most resource-rich evergreen valley. Once Tang Ao recovered, how many cultivation resources would he need? Although the poison miasma in the poison valley could dissolve Yuan Qi, the poison miasma would also be diluted by Yuan Qi. Moreover, after being diluted, the poison miasma would take a long time to recover. Therefore, as Tang Ao advanced, the poison miasma around Tang Ao became thinner. Fortunately, Tang Ao was really bold. After entering the poison miasma canyon, he kept running forward. He had already run out of the area where most of the martial artists were active. Therefore, until now, no one had discovered Tang Ao's whereabouts. As the Yuan Qi accumulated in Tang Ao's body was constantly being consumed, his body's condition also gradually stabilized. Tang Ao estimated that in another half an hour, the accumulated medicinal efficacy of the top-grade essence augmenting pill would be completely consumed. As Tang Ao absorbed and refined the Yuan Qi in his body, Tang Ao's cultivation quickly reached the 6th level of the body refining realm. Then, Tang Ao's strength continued to soar. From the early stage of the 6th level, to the middle stage, to the late stage, to the peak, he directly reached the 7th level at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 15:11. After that, a large group of martial artists chased after him. There were several thousand of them, and the target of the large group of martial artists was Tang Ao, who first entered the Miasma Canyon. At the same time, there were also martial artists who heard that the martial artist who beat up Huang Lulang was the peak expert of the Origin Realm, Yang Miao. In the Flying Star Continent, after all martial artists cultivated to the Origin Realm, they would be recorded in a list called the Hidden Dragon Leaderboard. Only after the martial artist died would their name be removed. At present, there were a total of 24 martial artists on the Hidden Dragon Leaderboard, and Yang Miao was an expert ranked 19th on the Hidden Dragon Leaderboard. In the Miasma Canyon, although Huang Lulang was called a fierce person, after knowing that the person who beat up Huang Lulang was Yang Miao, no one thought that Huang Lulang would dare to be a fierce person again. If Huang Lulang went again, perhaps if Yang Miao was unhappy, there wouldn't be a person named Huang Lulang in the Hidden Dragon Leaderboard. Miss, I've already heard that Pill Master Tang Ao escaped into the Miasma Canyon not long ago. What do we do now? Outside of the Miasma Canyon, Shun Laoli and Hong Lian, who experienced a fierce battle not long ago, also arrived. However, at that time, Shun Laoli's face was covered with a veil. Although she covered her face with a veil, there were still many martial artists who kept on sweeping their gazes over Shun Laoli's graceful body. Other than the first time, Shun Laoli's beautiful pupils were a bit tired and the aura on her body was unsteady. Just now, after the chaotic battle erupted on the pill concocting stage, a chaotic battle also erupted on the VIP seats. At that time, those in the VIP seats were the outstanding disciples of various big powers. On the surface, everything was calm, but the battles in the shadows were abnormally intense. So, just now, when a few Origin Realm martial artists attacked to take Tang Ao away, the martial artists in the VIP seats also attacked each other. Naturally, the ones who were the most targeted by the crowd were her and Zhang Zifan. After a fight, Zhang Zifan escaped towards the Golden Seeking Pavilion. After all, the headquarters of the Golden Seeking Pavilion was in the Hidden Dragon Market, and under the protection of a group of followers, she escaped to this place. Now, only Hong Lian remained out of the many followers who had followed her to the Hidden Dragon Cave. Moreover, Hong Lian was injured, so Shen Luoli had no idea what to do. "Miss, you're also a 9-star alchemist. Why don't we hide in the Miasma Valley? As long as I recover from my injuries, these people won't be able to do anything to us," Hong Lian said when she saw Shen Luoli's confusion. Although Red Lotus wasn't much older than Shen Luoli, Red Lotus had already experienced too many life and death battles to reach the pinnacle of the 9th level of the body refining realm. Therefore, under these circumstances, Red Lotus was even more rational than Shen Luoli. "That's fine too. We can look for Tang Ao after we enter." As long as he had the heavy yang pellet, the old man could certainly break into the Origin Realm. As long as he broke into the Origin Realm, half of the 9-Color Deer Merchant Guild's crisis would be resolved. If worst comes to worst, I'll... Before Shen Luoli could finish her words, she was already hugged by Hong Lian and brought into the Miasma Valley. Although Shen Luoli's alchemy skills were not bad, she was only at the 7th layer of the body refinement realm right now. As a result, Shen Luoli had not sensed that there were people chasing after them. However, Hong Lian had clearly sensed it. As a result, she did not dare to hesitate and immediately rushed into the Miasma Valley with Shen Luoli. After entering the Miasma Valley, Shen Luoli discovered the power of the miasma. Chapter 15:12. After running to this special tunnel, Hong Lian discovered that the miasma here was much thinner than other places. The deeper she went, the thinner the miasma became. After walking for a while, Shen Luoli suddenly discovered a trace of a familiar aura. Shen Luoli said with some confusion, "This tunnel seems to have been left behind by Pill Master Tang Ao. I can feel a trace of his aura here. I didn't expect to be saved by him this time." Tang Ao himself didn't expect that in this poison miasma canyon, where most martial artists' soul remembrances were greatly suppressed, Pill Master Shen Luoli could use soul remembrance to discover the tunnel he left behind and use it to escape. At this moment, Tang Ao had already passed through the poison miasma area of the poison miasma canyon. It was completely different from what he imagined. Although this poison miasma canyon looked like it was completely covered in poison miasma, in reality, as Tang Ao went deeper, Tang Ao discovered that the miasma gradually became thinner. Tang Ao knew that this poison miasma canyon only had a thick layer of miasma on the outside. After reaching the middle region, the miasma should be gone. Reality proved that Tang Ao's thoughts were completely correct. After the yuan qi in his body was completely used up, Tang Ao walked out of the miasma area. Tang Ao turned around to look at the miasma area behind him and silently laughed. At this moment, most of the martial artists were still gritting their teeth and desperately searching for treasures in the miasma area. They didn't know that this miasma area had an end. What appeared in front of Tang Ao was like a paradise. There were lush green spirit grasses and wildflowers everywhere. However, under this beautiful scenery, there was also hidden danger. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, Tang Ao could hear the sky shaking beast roars coming from the mountain in front of him. Just from hearing these roars, Tang Ao knew that the beast that roared was definitely not easy to deal with. Fortunately, Tang Ao didn't need to fight these powerful beasts. Tang Ao only needed to find a quiet environment to recover and raise his cultivation. A vast soul remembrance spread out, and everything around Tang Ao became clear under his soul remembrance perception. After observing for a while, Tang Ao knew that he wasn't the first fighter to come here, because in the nearby pool, Tang Ao's soul remembrance clearly detected two fighter skeletons. These two skeletons were extremely complete, and there was even a faint brilliance on the bones. If these two people had not used some kind of treasure to temper their bones when they were alive, it meant that these two fellas were definitely experts when they were alive. However, Tang Ao did not know why the two of them would fall in a seemingly ordinary pond. Although the pool looked harmless to humans and animals, Tang Ao still didn't have the intention to go and explore it. Right now, Tang Ao's cultivation had already recovered to the early stages of the 7th level of the body refining realm. However, it had not completely stabilized yet. Tang Ao needed to find a quiet place to completely clean up the wounds on his body and stabilize his cultivation. At the same time, Tang Ao prepared to use the remaining 2 peak grade essence cultivating pills. If he didn't use these resources, they were no different from trash. These 2 peak grade essence cultivating pills didn't have much value on Tang Ao, but after using them, Tang Ao was absolutely certain that he had a certain chance of breaking into the origin realm. Due to the special nature of the 9 Dragon Emperor's jade body, Tang Ao was practically an invincible existence in the same realm. If Tang Ao's cultivation could recover to the origin realm, Tang Ao would immediately come here and violently beat up those origin realm fighters today. However, right now, Tang Ao could only think about this. Right now, the most urgent thing for Tang Ao was to find a safe place to enter seclusion and cultivate. Tang Ao's soul remembrance continued to search the surroundings. Very quickly, Tang Ao found a cave on a mountain wall. This cave's location was extremely hidden. If one used the naked eye, they definitely would not be able to find this cave. Even using soul remembrance would not be easy to find. Chapter 15:13. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate the surroundings. After confirming that there was no danger, he moved closer to the cave. Although his soul remembrance had confirmed that there was no danger, Tang Ao still felt that this place was a bit strange. Just now, Tang Ao could still hear the beast roars coming from the valley, but now, the surroundings had suddenly quieted down. It was as if the beast roars Tang Ao had heard did not exist at all. Thinking of this, Tang Ao instantly controlled his soul remembrance to look at the small lake with the 2 skeletons. This small lake was very calm, and the water was very clear. Therefore, even with the naked eye, he could see the 2 skeletons at the bottom of the lake. However, a very strange thing had happened. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, the 2 skeletons had disappeared. When Tang Ao had arrived here not long ago, he had found the 2 skeletons at the bottom of the lake. However, at this moment, the 2 skeletons had strangely disappeared. Although Tang Ao was a peak astral-reaching realm level 9 warrior in his previous life, and in this life he had also reached the life and death realm, but seeing this kind of thing, Tang Ao still felt his scalp go numb. At this moment, Tang Ao's soul remembrance once again looked towards the cave that he had just discovered. Indeed, as Tang Ao had expected, the very ideal cave that he had just found had completely disappeared. Seeing this, Tang Ao naturally knew that he had unknowingly fallen into a trap. Just now, when Tang Ao had passed through the poisonous miasma outside of the valley, he was secretly happy. Now that Tang Ao knew, it seemed that he had been happy too early. Although he had already passed through the outer poisonous area, there was obviously something even more powerful behind the poisonous miasma. Even with Tang Ao's knowledge, Tang Ao could not figure out how he had fallen into a trap. This feeling was like falling into an illusion array. However, with Tang Ao's array skills, Tang Ao still could not figure out that this was an illusion array. Falling into a trap was not scary. What was scary was not being able to figure out the situation after falling into a trap. If it were any other warrior, they would most likely have lost all hope in this situation. Fortunately, Tang Ao was special. With a thought, 2 deep blue lights appeared in Tang Ao's eyes. Then, the scenery around Tang Ao immediately twisted. The sky polar eyes were the eyes that could see through all illusions. Under Tang Ao's sky polar eyes, everything around him rapidly changed. The original Xanadu suddenly turned into a wasteland with a dark red sky and a red earth on the ground. Not far from Tang Ao, there was a small lake that had dried up for an unknown period of time. There were indeed 2 skeletons in the lake, but these 2 skeletons were different from the ones Tang Ao had seen before. The 2 skeletons that Tang Ao had seen when he came here were glowing with a jade-like brilliance. Obviously, these 2 people's cultivation wasn't weak when they were alive, or perhaps they had tempered their corporeal bodies with special heavenly treasures. However, the 2 skeletons that Tang Ao saw now were scattered in a pile, and they were slightly gray. Tang Ao looked further away and saw a valley. Tang Ao's sky polar eyes instantly pierced through the valley, and he saw a scene that shocked Tang Ao. Chapter 15:14. Tang Ao continued to look deeper and saw 2 statues. These 2 statues gave Tang Ao a very strange feeling. Tang Ao actually felt that these 2 statues were alive. Moreover, when Tang Ao used his sky polar eyes to look at the statues, Tang Ao actually felt a strong sense of dizziness. Tang Ao was secretly shocked. Ever since Tang Ao awakened his sky polar eyes, Tang Ao's sky polar eyes had always been successful. However, this time, Tang Ao actually encountered something that his sky polar eyes could not see through. Although he could not see through the mysteries of these 2 statues, Tang Ao could still see that these 2 statues were of a gentle and elegant middle-aged scholar and a 6-winged dragon-whiskered tiger. At this moment, the 6-winged dragon-whiskered tiger opened its bloody mouth and seemed to emit a deafening roar that resounded through the sky. Tang Ao suddenly thought of the beast's roar that he had heard when he arrived here. Could it be, at this time, Tang Ao had a faint guess in his heart? Could it be that the paradise that Tang Ao had seen before was the original appearance of this place, but some changes happened later, causing this place to become what it was today? Or could it be that even the scene that he saw with his sky polar eyes was also an illusion? Although this sounded unlikely, this time, Tang Ao had doubts about his sky polar eyes. Just as Tang Ao was observing his surroundings, Tang Ao suddenly found that the ground under his feet had begun to crack. Then, under the red wasteland, bone claws stretched out one by one. The bone claws that were closest to Tang Ao even directly grabbed at Tang Ao. This scene was creepy. If it was a warrior with a slightly weaker will, they would probably have already collapsed in such a situation. Although Tang Ao would not collapse, facing such a large number of skeletons, Tang Ao still felt that it was very troublesome. At this moment, the entire wasteland had skeletons emerging from the ground, which meant that no matter where Tang Ao went, he would be attacked. If Tang Ao hadn't previously dealt with the accumulated energy from the supreme grade cultivating yuan pill, then right now, Tang Ao would already be finished. After these skeletons drilled out of the ground, they immediately charged at Tang Ao. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, the skeletons that covered the mountain didn't exist at all. Moreover, the surrounding scenery was still as beautiful as before. However, under Tang Ao's sky polar eyes, these skeletons were incomparably clear. Just as Tang Ao was stunned, a skeletal bone claw suddenly extended from under Tang Ao's feet. The incomparably sharp bone claw instantly pierced Tang Ao. The intense pain caused Tang Ao to immediately understand that there was indeed something here that had affected his soul remembrance, causing his soul remembrance to become chaotic and make a mistake. At the same time, Tang Ao confirmed that the scene seen by the sky polar eyes was real, because in that instant, Tang Ao had truly felt the intense pain from his calf. Even if an even more powerful illusion array or other method could paralyze other warriors' senses, it was impossible to paralyze Tang Ao's senses. Although Tang Ao's 9 Dragon Emperor Jade was heavily damaged, the illusion array's image of the 9 Dragon Emperor Jade was still negligible. Therefore, relying on the illusion array alone, it was not easy to image Tang Ao's 5 senses. Chapter 15:15. Some of those martial artists chased after Tang Ao, but there weren't many of them. In the beginning, only a portion of the martial artists had chased after Tang Ao. Another portion of the martial artists had chased after Shun Luoli. But just like the martial artists who had chased after Tang Ao, the number of these martial artists was also not large. Even more martial artists came because of the large amount of people that appeared in the Poison Miasma Canyon. Although there was already a portion of martial artists who explored the Poison Miasma Canyon before, because those martial artists' own strength wasn't very high, the range they explored stopped at the outermost area of the Poison Miasma Canyon. But not long ago, the expert on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard, Yang Miao, came to the outermost area of the Poison Miasma Canyon, and he even went deep into the Poison Miasma Canyon. Although Yang Miao didn't find Tang Ao in the Poison Miasma Canyon, he found a strange crystal in the Poison Miasma Canyon. Yang Miao discovered that the strange crystal contained extremely terrifying origin energy. After Yang Miao tried to absorb the origin energy, Yang Miao astonishingly discovered that the limit of his cultivation actually appeared to loosen. For several thousand years, after a martial artist cultivated to the first level of the origin realm, it was already the limit of the martial path. It had already become a law among all martial artists. But now, after Yang Miao, who was at the peak of the first level of the origin realm, absorbed the origin energy in the crystal, his cultivation actually appeared to loosen. That made Yang Miao speechless from shock. One had to know that his current cultivation was already the limit of the first level of the origin realm. If his cultivation increased again, he would reach the legendary second level of the origin realm. Tang Ao already asserted that with the density of the origin energy in the Flying Star Continent, it was extremely difficult to give birth to an origin realm martial artist. Also, the first level of the origin realm was already the limit of the martial artists in this place. It had nothing to do with martial talent or many other factors. It was just because the strength of the origin energy was too weak. But no matter what, Tang Ao never would have thought that there was such a dangerous place in the Hidden Dragon Cavern. Also, in the Poison Miasma Canyon, there was a Divine King's origin crystal. The crystal fragments scattered all over the Poison Miasma Canyon were, in reality, the origin power crystals of some Divine King. If Shi Tianyun were here, he would be able to identify what this so-called crystal fragment was at first glance. Unfortunately, Shi Yun did not have any interest in this matter. At this moment, Shi Yun had already thoroughly refined the Fallen Star token in his hand. Moreover, he was secretly plotting how to obtain the other 7 Fallen Star tokens. Tang Ao didn't know the function of the Falling Star command, but Shi Yun knew it very well. As long as Shi Yun had 8 Falling Star tokens, he would be able to refine all of Divine King Falling Star's Tao world and nomological Tao runes. After being here for so long, Shi Yun also knew that this place was the shattered Tao world of Divine Monarch Yunxing. After Divine King Yunxing perished, his nomological Taoist connotation was scattered all over the Flying Star Continent. The place with the most nomological Tao connotations was the Poison Miasma Canyon of the Evergreen Valley. This was because Divine Monarch Yunxing had perished there after a huge battle. After Divine Monarch Yunxing perished, his nomological Tao connotations immediately scattered in all directions. Then, some scattered nomological Tao connotations fused with the essence energy in the surrounding space and formed these shattered essence crystals. Even though these Yuan crystals only contained a trace of Divine Monarch Yunxing's nomological Tao, the energy within them was still very shocking. Chapter 15:16. However, compared to Tang Ao, these cultivators who were refining celestial essence force here were too fortunate. At this moment, Tang Ao was fighting in an endless sea of skeletons. A thick layer of bone powder had piled up under Tang Ao's feet. This bone powder was naturally left behind after Tang Ao smashed the skeletons into pieces. At first, when Tang Ao fought with these skeletons, he only used the Azure Lotus Sword Soul to split these skeletons into two. However, Tang Ao discovered that even if these skeletons were smashed into pieces, they would immediately reform after a while. Therefore, to deal with these skeletons, one could only use brute force to shatter these skeletons. The life souls that Tang Ao had awakened were basically inclined towards dexterity. There were no particularly heavy and overbearing life souls. Therefore, when dealing with these skeletons at this moment, Tang Ao could only summon the battle's Saint Bone life soul to fight these skeletons in melee. Tang Ao roared, and a majestic essence, Qi, suddenly erupted from Tang Ao's right fist. A powerful shockwave sent a row of skeletons in front of Tang Ao flying. However, although Tang Ao's punch was astonishing, it did not cause much damage to these skeletons. This was because these skeletons were inanimate objects. This level of attack did not affect them at all. On the contrary, in such a battle, Tang Ao's essence Qi was constantly consumed. At this time, Tang Ao hesitated. He wondered if he should take a top-grade essence cultivating pill in advance. At this moment, Tang Ao still had 2 top-grade essence cultivating pills on him. However, Tang Ao did not feel optimistic at all. If there was no way to leave this place completely, he would eventually die of exhaustion in this place. Although in the battle just now, Tang Ao had completely blasted many skeletons into ashes, there were still many skeletons around Tang Ao. In addition to these skeletons, Tang Ao also saw skeletons rushing towards this place from further away. Seeing this, Tang Ao could only smile bitterly. Tang Ao really couldn't understand why there would be such a terrifying place in the Evergreen Valley. Moreover, it was only the periphery of the Evergreen Valley. If the person who came at that instant was not Tang Ao, but a martial artist in the Origin Realm, or even several martial artists in the Origin Realm, they would have already died. Although the cultivation of these skeletons was not strong, basically around the 6th level of the body refining realm, there were just too many of them. If the recovery speed of the Origin Realm was not as fast as Tang Ao's, then even if a martial artist of the Origin Realm came here, they would be like a lamp that ran out of oil. Tang Ao suddenly whipped out his leg, turning a skeleton that wanted to ambush him into a pile of bone powder. Tang Ao's martial skills were not known for their ferocity, but after summoning the Battle Sage Bone Life Spirit, Tang Ao's attacks were equally domineering. Moreover, this was because Tang Ao's spiritual sea was completely shattered and the Battle Sage Bone Life Spirit was extremely weak. Otherwise, the Battle Sage Bone Life Spirit would be able to shatter these skeletons with just its chi. Looking at the surrounding skeletons that were constantly surging towards him, Tang Ao also frowned. Under the observation of Tang Ao's skypole eyes, Tang Ao realized that these skeletons did not have soul fire at all. In other words, these skeletons were not real death spirits. They were just puppets. It could also be said that these puppets were a special type of spirit weapon. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that there must be something in the surroundings controlling these skeletons. Chapter 15-17. Therefore, in order to solve the current predicament, Tang Ao needed to think of another way. However, this predicament was obviously not so easy to solve. Currently, Tang Ao could only think of 2 methods. The first method was to find the thing controlling these skeletons and directly destroy it. Since these skeletons were being controlled, then after Tang Ao destroyed the thing controlling the skeletons, Tang Ao's problem would be temporarily solved. However, although Tang Ao's idea was good, Tang Ao could not find where the thing controlling these skeletons was hiding. In this space, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was in serious disorder. Therefore, Tang Ao could not even feel a trace of a special aura. Moreover, Tang Ao could not find any soul remembrance fluctuations on these skeletons. This meant that these skeletons were not controlled by soul remembrance. The second method was to leave this damn place. However, this place was difficult for Tang Ao to come here, but it was even more difficult to leave. When Tang Ao came here, he had only passed through the poisonous fog to reach this place. But now, Tang Ao could not even find the poisonous fog that he had passed through before. Moreover, even under Tang Ao's heavenly polar pupils, everything around him was the same. There was no exit to leave this area. Because of this, Tang Ao felt that his heavenly polar pupils were also affected by this unknown array. While Tang Ao was trapped in this scarlet space, the rest of the people were busy in the poison miasma canyon. This was because everyone found that the crystal stone that Zhao Tao had found was a very rare treasure. Many of the first batch of martial artists who came to the poison miasma canyon had at least one level of cultivation. Because in the poison miasma canyon, everyone had more or less found some yuan crystals. After finding the yuan crystals, these martial artists did not hesitate. No one chose to leave the yuan crystals behind. Instead, they found a safe area and began to absorb and refine the yuan crystals. Their methods were very crude, so these cultivators could only extract a fraction of the celestial essence force from the essence crystals. However, the combination of celestial essence force and essence crystals was not very stable. As long as the celestial essence force within the essence crystal underwent any changes, the essence crystal would immediately collapse. Although it was unknown how much celestial essence force was wasted by the cultivators when they cultivated. On the way to the depths of the poison miasma canyon, Tang Ao also encountered a lot of essence crystals. It was just that at that time, Tang Ao was busy fleeing for his life, so he did not have a chance to collect these essence crystals. At the same time, Tang Ao did not expect to come to such a place after passing through the miasma. If he had known that there was such a dangerous place behind the miasma, Tang Ao would have been more than willing to stay in the miasma. Although the miasma was powerful, it could do nothing to Tang Ao's jade bone life soul. However, it was too late for Tang Ao to regret it now. At this moment, Tang Ao was once again surrounded by a dense army of skeletons. Am I going to fall here today? Feeling the essence chi within his body diminishing, Tang Ao whispered to himself. Tang Ao could not remember how many times he had been surrounded by the skeleton army. It seemed that since the appearance of this army of skeletons, Tang Ao had never stopped killing. However, these skeletons simply could not be killed. No matter how many times Tang Ao killed, these skeletons still continued to rush towards Tang Ao without any fear of death. Chapter 15:18. Although there was still a sea of skeletons around him, there were less than a quarter of them compared to the beginning. This discovery was the best news Tang Ao knew so far. Although there were less than a quarter of them, the number of skeletons remaining was still terrifying. If Tang Ao's cultivation level was higher, Tang Ao even wanted to use the primordial sacred sky bow to kill these skeletons. However, Tang Ao's cultivation level was just too low. Even if he used the primordial sacred sky bow, it wouldn't be of much use. Therefore, Tang Ao could only use the battle sage bone life soul to kill these skeletons. However, this wasn't a solution. Although Tang Ao's primordial energy recovered extremely quickly, it still couldn't withstand Tang Ao's expenditure. At that moment, Tang Ao's primordial energy had been mostly depleted. Although Tang Ao still had 2 supreme-grade essence cultivating pills that he hadn't used, Tang Ao wasn't sure if anything strange would happen in this space after killing these skeletons. This was because Tang Ao estimated that even if he used all the 2 supreme-grade essence cultivating pills he had, he would at most be able to kill all these skeletons. Tang Ao wanted to consider it carefully, but these skeletons clearly wouldn't let Tang Ao think too much. After surrounding Tang Ao, they immediately attacked Tang Ao from all directions. Tang Ao felt somewhat helpless. Tang Ao really didn't want to continue fighting such a battle. This was because the person controlling the skeletons was clearly hiding in a place that Tang Ao couldn't detect, secretly controlling these skeletons. If he didn't kill the person controlling the skeletons, Tang Ao would fall into an endless battle. However, Tang Ao wasn't even sure if the skeleton he was controlling was a person or something else. He also didn't know its location. It was naturally difficult for Tang Ao to kill it. Seeing these skeletons constantly surrounding him, Tang Ao was looking forward to mastering a large-scale lightning-type area of effect skill. Although these skeletons weren't real undead, lightning-type skills had a strong restraining effect on these skeletons. Lightning-type skill. After thinking of the lightning-type skill, Tang Ao immediately thought of it. Although Tang Ao also knew a few lightning-type skills, Tang Ao had no intention of honing them at the moment. This was because the lightning-type skills that Tang Ao knew were too common. Moreover, using them here wouldn't achieve the effect that Tang Ao wanted. At this moment, Tang Ao really wanted to set up a thunder array. Using the Flying Star Continent standards, the thunder array that Tang Ao wanted to set up was a 9-star formation. On the Flying Star Continent, there were more alchemists because of the vitality-fostering pill, but there were pitifully few blacksmiths and formation masters. Therefore, there were many 9-star alchemists on the Flying Star Continent, but there had never been a 9-star blacksmith or a 9-star spiritual formation master. The development of alchemy and spiritual formation in the Flying Star Continent was extremely slow. If it were any other warrior, they naturally wouldn't be able to set up a formation under such circumstances. However, Tang Ao's formation skills were personally taught by Yun Xiaoyao, one of the 3 saints of Unfettered. Moreover, Tang Ao had learned a unique method of setting up formations from Yun Xiaoyao, the void formation pattern. Chapter 1519. Moreover, Tang Ao only had one chance to set up the array. If Tang Ao didn't succeed, Tang Ao would be in a very dangerous situation. After taking a deep breath, Tang Ao immediately circulated his psyche in his body and began to condense the void array pattern. In Tang Ao's sea of consciousness, Tang Ao's majestic psyche quickly gathered. Then, with a flash of white light, 36 blank void array patterns appeared in Tang Ao's sea of consciousness. Then, Tang Ao controlled his psyche and began to inscribe the first void array pattern. While Tang Ao was inscribing the void array pattern, the surrounding skeletons didn't stop at all. They continued to attack Tang Ao without fear of death. However, this time, Tang Ao didn't bother with these skeletons. Due to the void array pattern, most of Tang Ao's psyche and primordial energy had been extracted to inscribe the void array pattern. Maintaining the battle Sagebone Life Soul was somewhat difficult for Tang Ao. If he were to use the battle Sagebone Life Soul to fight, the void runes that Tang Ao had inscribed would most likely fail. The void array pattern was the only solution Tang Ao could think of to solve the problem. If the void array pattern failed, Tang Ao could only hide in the chaotic hexlight mirror space. However, unless it was absolutely necessary, Tang Ao really didn't want to escape into the chaotic hexlight mirror space. Moreover, Tang Ao felt that this place was too strange. Tang Ao felt that even if he escaped into the chaotic hexlight mirror space, it might not be safe. This time, Tang Ao didn't choose to clash head-on with these skeletons. Instead, he used his nimble movement technique to deal with these skeletons. At that moment, Tang Ao realized that although there were quite a number of skeletons, their movements were very clumsy. However, his movements were very clumsy. Just now, Tang Ao had been clashing with these skeletons, so it was very easy for these skeletons to hit him. However, after Tang Ao used his movement technique to move around, Tang Ao was able to move freely through this group of skeletons. However, this was only a temporary measure. If he didn't destroy all these skeletons, Tang Ao wouldn't be able to rest. Therefore, Tang Ao used his movement technique to dodge while seriously inscribing the array pattern. Although it had been a long time since Tang Ao had set up an array, Tang Ao's array Tao standards hadn't decreased much. Thus, it didn't take long before Tang Ao clapped his hands and a void array pattern flew out from his palm. After it flew to a specific spot in the air, Ao up a hand seal, the void array pattern disappeared. Of course, Tang Ao knew that it wasn't really disappearing. Instead, it was because the void array pattern had hidden itself within the void. One void array pattern wasn't enough to form a thunder-killing array. Therefore, after inscribing one void array pattern, Tang Ao immediately started to refine the second void array pattern. With the experience of inscribing the first void array pattern, Tang Ao's speed of inscribing the next void array pattern immediately sped up. In just a short time, Tang Ao had already refined half of the 36 void array runes. However, after refining half of the void array pattern, Tang Ao's Yuan Qi was completely exhausted. Although Tang Ao's Yuan Qi and Soul Remembrance recovery speed were very fast, carving a void formation pattern was a very taxing matter on Soul Remembrance and Yuan Qi. Therefore, after inscribing so many void array patterns, even Tang Ao's Yuan Qi was running low. Realizing that the Yuan Qi in his body was decreasing, Tang Ao didn't hesitate too much. Tang Ao took out a small jade bottle from his storage ring. Currently, there were 2 golden pills lying quietly in the jade bottle. Seeing these 2 golden pills, Tang Ao let out a sigh of relief. These 2 pills were the Supreme Essence Nurturing pills that Tang Ao had refined on the pill refining platform. With these 2 pills, Tang Ao felt a little more confident. Without much hesitation, Tang Ao swallowed another Supreme Essence Nurturing pill. Of course, Tang Ao did not forget the price of swallowing the best quality essence augmenting pill. However, the arrow was already knocked on the bowstring, and if he did not take the best quality essence augmenting pill, Tang Ao would not be able to deal with these clumsy skeletons, let alone continuing to carve the void runes. As expected, after Tang Ao took the Supreme Essence Nurturing pill, Tang Ao's Dantian immediately felt a violent burning sensation. Then Tang Ao felt as if his limbs and bones were boiling. Chapter 1520. Although Tang Ao had taken this improved Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill not long ago, Tang Ao was still a little shocked when he took it again. Tang Ao had never taken the original Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill, but Tang Ao could tell from the original pill formula that the Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill refined according to that pill formula would be constantly suppressed due to the addition of 3 spirit herbs of conflicting attributes. Therefore, Tang Ao estimated that the original Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill could only have about 20% of the medicinal power of his own Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill compared to the modified pill. Although 20% of the Yuan Qi of the Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill was not a small amount, it was still a waste of a lot. At this moment, Tang Ao's limbs and bones were burning, as if there were lines of fire burning in his body. After feeling the state of his body, Tang Ao suddenly understood that a Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill could not be taken directly. It had to be known that Tang Ao's physique was the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade body, which was 1 in a billion. This physique absorbed and refined the spiritual energy and Yuan Qi in the world very quickly. Of course, it was not just the spiritual energy in the natural world. The absorption and refining of the medicinal power of the pill was also not slow. However, after Tang Ao took the Supreme Grade Essence cultivating pill, it still caused a great burden on his body. This meant that this pill seemed to be different from ordinary pills that could be taken directly. This pill needed external means to help absorb and refine it. Of course, this was only relative to other warriors. This was because Tang Ao had the Jade Bone Life Soul. As long as the Jade Bone Life Soul could recover some strength, no matter what pill it was, no matter how strong the medicinal power was, Tang Ao could use the Jade Bone Life Soul to directly absorb and refine it. Unlike many low-level life souls in the boundless world, the Jade Bone Life Soul was a low-level Heaven Domain Life Soul. Although it was not fixed in which heaven domain it would appear in, there was only one Jade Bone Life Soul. In other words, now that the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul had been awakened by Tang Ao, a second Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul wouldn't be born in the major Kiliacosm before Tang Ao perished. Therefore, only Tang Ao could use the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul to refine the medicinal power in the pill. But now, as Tang Ao's soul C was completely shattered, the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul was in an extremely weak state. Therefore, the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul was unable to help Tang Ao absorb and refine the extremely domineering medicinal essence of the Supreme Grade Essence Fostering Pill. Under the surging essence energy, Tang Ao's battle sage bone life soul glowed with a resplendent golden light. Mysterious runes circulated on the battle sage bone life soul. At this moment, Tang Ao was like a god of war in golden armor, moving in and out of the group of skeletons, sweeping through everything in his path. After his Yuan Qi was strengthened, Tang Ao did not continue to wander among the skeletons like before. This was because the medicinal essence of the Supreme Grade Essence Fostering Pill was just too domineering. It was impossible for Tang Ao to completely absorb the medicinal essence. Or rather, at least in such a situation, Tang Ao couldn't do it. Since he couldn't completely absorb it, he could only release it. And the way Tang Ao released, it was through the battle Sage Bone Life Soul. Chapter 1521. In the beginning, Tang Ao only wanted to use the battle Sage Bone Life Soul to release some of the Primordial Vitality Enhancement Pill's Primordial Qi. However, Tang Ao did not expect that even in such a weakened state, the battle Sage Bone Life Soul's endurance was still so terrifying. At that moment, the battle Sage Bone Life Soul was like a bottomless pit. No matter how much primordial Qi Tang Ao gathered and injected into the battle Sage Bone Life Soul, he could still feel that the battle Sage Bone Life Soul had not reached its limit. It could still hold more primordial Qi. Then, Tang Ao thought about it and felt relieved. He had been injured for too long. He had forgotten that these life souls that fought alongside him were powerful existences at the 29th level at their peak. Although the Primordial Vitality Enhancement Pill's Primordial Vitality Enhancement Pill was domineering, it was only for the current Tang Ao. If Tang Ao's cultivation recovered to the first level of the life and death realm at his peak, then this bit of primordial Qi was really just a drop in the ocean for Tang Ao. Now, Tang Ao's cultivation had obviously not recovered to its peak, but Tang Ao's Battle Sage Bone Life Soul was a powerful 29th level life soul. After the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul exploded with terrifying combat power, Tang Ao was surprised to find that these skeletons had actually begun to retreat in an orderly manner. This made Tang Ao secretly vigilant. What's up this time? Tang Ao used his sky polar eyes to scan the surroundings. Tang Ao was vaguely sure that there was really something controlling these skeletons in the surroundings. However, this thing's concealment method was too powerful. Even Tang Ao's sky polar eyes could not find it. At the same time, Tang Ao was a little puzzled. Although most of the warriors who had chased after him did not have high cultivation levels, there were still 4 peak essence martial realm experts. Tang Ao did not have the time to hide his aura along the way, so these people should be able to quickly find him by following his aura. If it were before, Tang Ao definitely did not want to be found by these guys. But now, Tang Ao was hoping that these guys would be smart enough to find this place based on the aura he left behind. Although 1/3 of the skeletons here had been destroyed by Tang Ao's continuous slaughter, the number of skeletons remaining was still very shocking. At this time, if those guys caught up, then the pressure on Tang Ao would be greatly reduced. Tang Ao didn't believe that these skeletons would only target him and wouldn't attack others. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about this, Tang Ao's skypole eyes really did see a martial artist arrive. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew this warrior. It was Shui Wehong, whom he had met in the subduing dragon market. After the crimson blood moon, a few more warriors appeared. These warriors appeared very strangely, as if they had appeared out of thin air. Although it seemed like this, Tang Ao still knew the reason behind it. Right now, Tang Ao was certain that this wasn't a simple illusion formation, but a special spirit formation space. So, even if Tang Ao returned from the place where Shui Weihong and the others had appeared, he still could not leave this place. When Tang Ao saw Shui Weihong and the others also saw Tang Ao. However, Shui Weihong did not have much of an effect on Tang Ao. Although the fallen star token that should have been obtained by Shui Weihong was snatched away by Tang Ao, Shui Weihong was still in the dark. She had no idea that it was actually done by Tang Ao. Chapter 1522. Under his sole remembrance, this place was peaceful and there was no danger to speak of. However, if he used his eyes to look, he would see that this place was not only unsafe, but also extremely dangerous. Not only were there skeletons approaching him, there were also the people following him, especially the martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique. His cultivation was at the first level of the origin martial realm. Although Shui Weihong was conceited, she wasn't conceited to the point where she could fight against an origin martial realm expert. So, after discovering that Shui Ken was secretly watching, Shui Weihong immediately ran. Although Shui Weihong's name had the word blood in it, and even her life spirit martial skill was related to blood, Shui Weihong didn't cultivate the evil blood technique. Moreover, Shui Weihong didn't think much of the evil blood technique. Although she didn't think much of the technique, it didn't mean she hadn't seen it before. Not only had Shui Weihong seen the evil blood technique, she had also studied it in detail. So, Shui Weihong understood how tempting her blood was to those who cultivated the evil blood technique. At the same time, Shui Weihong was confused as to why Tang Ao would appear in such a place. Shui Weihong had never been to the pill concocting conference, so she didn't have any impression of Tang Ao. However, Shui Weihong could still see that Tang Ao's cultivation was only at the 7th level of the body refining realm. It was almost impossible for him to come to such a place. The people chasing Shui Weihong were all at the 9th level of the body refining realm, like Shui Weihong. But even so, the number of people chasing him had decreased by a lot. Clearly, an accident had happened when he passed through the miasma. Shui Weihong knew very well how strong the miasma in the poison miasma valley was. So, when Tang Ao appeared with the 7th level of the body refining realm, Shui Weihong was very shocked. However, Shui Weihong did not know that when Tang Ao first passed through the poisonous fog, Tang Ao's cultivation was only at the 5th level of the body refining realm. His current cultivation of the 7th level of the body refining realm was because he had absorbed the majestic essence chi of the supreme grade essence cultivating pills while passing through the poisonous fog. Blood Moon Red didn't know Tang Ao, but Shui Ken, who wasn't far from her, knew Tang Ao. Shui Ken had been at the Alchemy Plaza during the Alchemy Conference. He had witnessed the entire process of Tang Ao refining the 9-star supreme grade essence fostering pill with his own eyes. When Yang Miao broke the barrier of the alchemy platform and wanted to capture Tang Ao, Shui Ken had also tried to snatch him away. However, unlike Yang Miao, who was the first to retreat, Shui Ken was held back by He Jin, who had rushed over later. After fighting with He Jin, Shui Ken realized that Tang Ao had long disappeared. However, to Shui Ken's surprise, he saw Tang Ao in this strange place again. After seeing Tang Ao, Shui Ken laughed dryly and said, "Alchemist Tang Ao, it's really a small world." Tang Ao naturally saw Shui Ken, including Shui Weihong and Shui Ken. There were a total of 7 people who came. Other than Shui Ken, who was at the origin martial realm, the other 6 were at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. However, other than Shui Ken and Shui Weihong, Tang Ao had never seen the other 5 before. Chapter 1523. Although the pavilion closest to the water enjoyed the moonlight first, and although the hidden dragon cave had been managed by Dragon Prison Castle for 1,000 years, Dragon Prison Castle clearly did not care about the management of the hidden dragon cave. The few people in charge of the hidden dragon cave were only at the 9th level of the body refining realm. After such a thing happened, they naturally could not control the situation. After knowing that there was a pill refiner who could concoct 9-star supreme grade energy cultivating pill in the hidden dragon cave, the castle lord Jujio was filled with regret. As one of the 8 overlord forces that ruled the Flying Star continent, the Dragon Prison Castle naturally had their own pill refiners. However, the 3 pill refiners that the Dragon Prison Castle spent a huge amount of resources to nurture, only 2 of them could concoct supreme grade energy cultivating pill. Moreover, the quality of their pills was extremely low. It kept fluctuating between 1-star and 2-star. In other words, the 2 of them could only concoct supreme grade energy cultivating pill. However, Jujio received news not long ago that there was a pill refiner who could concoct 9-star supreme grade energy cultivating pill in this conference. After knowing this, Jujio just wanted to kill Shadowless and the other people in charge of the Hidden Dragon Cave. Jujio let them manage the Hidden Dragon Cave. Other than completing the mission of the Flying Star Alliance, the most important thing was to recruit talents for the Dragon Prison Castle. Because of Xiao Li, Jujio killed all the people in charge of the Hidden Dragon Cave because they didn't find a talent like Xiao Li. Fortunately, Jujio personally took Xiao Li as his godson. Xiao Li was Xiao Yu's big brother. However, even Xiao Yu and Shuryan didn't know that Xiao Li wasn't killed by Jujio. Instead, Jujio took him as his godson. When Jujio thought his godson, he was quite proud. Call the 3rd young master over. He will go with me to the Hidden Dragon Cave. Also, organize a copy of the information about Tang Ao for me. The more detailed, the better. In the hall of the Dragon Prison Castle, Jujio thought for a moment and said to the servant girl behind him. After hearing Jujio's words, the maidservant did not dare to delay. She bowed slightly and quickly left. In the crimson space, Tang Ao naturally did not know that the castle lord of the Dragon Prison Fortress was already preparing to look for him. As for the skeletons that were besieging Tang Ao earlier, they had already retreated to the side. Tang Ao thought to himself that this was most likely due to Blood Moon Scarlet's group of 7. One must know that although the skeletons here seemed endless, these skeletons were too weak. Among these skeletons, only an extremely small number of skeletons could reach the 7th level of the body refining realm. The majority of the skeletons were hovering between the 5th and 6th levels of the body refining realm. However, Shui Weihong and the others were all at the peak of the 9th level of the body refinement realm. Shui Kan's cultivation even reached the 1st level of the origin realm. After reaching the 1st level of the origin realm, the cultivation of a martial artist had a qualitative leap when compared to a body refinement realm martial artist. Although it was common for martial artists at the peak of the body refinement realm to challenge martial artists at the origin realm on the Flying Star continent, challenging was one thing, and winning was another. Currently, among the known martial artists at the peak of the 9th level of the origin realm, there is only one person who had the record of successfully defeating an origin realm martial artist. Tang Ao had never seen that person before, but Tang Ao had heard of his name more than once. That person's name was Lu Xingjin. It was this guy who was endlessly chasing after Chu Xuahan. Chapter 1524. Jia. That's right, he's Tang Ao. The one speaking was a martial artist completely hidden under a black cloak. A strange sound came out of this person's mouth, and in his hand was an image of Tang Ao. It was unknown who sent this image, but Yang Miao also had a copy. After Tang Ao saw the image in this person's hand, he silently thought of something. Suddenly, Tang Ao understood what was going on. It was because the angle of this image was too special, and this image was recorded by someone when he was concocting pills on the pill refining platform. and the pill master from Tang Ao's angle back then was Lin Ruchang's direct disciple, Wang Kun. Thinking of Wang Kun, Tang Ao's eyes went cold. He had no grievances with this Wang Kun, but he repeatedly tried to harm him. Back then on the pill refining platform, Tang Ao was heavily injured by Wang Kun and fell into an extremely dangerous situation. Now, Wang Kun even recorded his own soul remembrance image, letting people who didn't know him know him. Tang Ao didn't need to be famous, so Tang Ao obviously didn't need Wang Kun to help him advertise. Especially now that the resources and strength Tang Ao controlled were completely unequal, Tang Ao didn't want to have too much contact with other martial artists. Though Xiao Zhen and the others could also concoct top-quality essence cultivating pills, the pills they concocted weren't very high rank. So, even though many people would have some thoughts, they wouldn't be stupid enough to capture a peak body refining realm 9th level martial artist like Xiao Zhen to help them concoct pills. This was because Xiao Zhen's strength was extremely powerful. In the Hidden Dragon Cave, Xiao Zhen was known as the #1 person under the Origin martial realm. However, Tang Ao was different. Back then, when Tang Ao concocted a 9-star top-quality essence cultivating pill on the pill refining platform, Tang Ao was still a weak body refining realm 5th level martial artist. A pill master with only body refining realm 5th level cultivation could concoct a 9-star top quality essence cultivating pill. Such a fat piece of meat was definitely tempting. So back then on the pill refining platform, Yang Miao didn't think too much about it. In order to capture Tang Ao to refine pills for himself, Yang Miao directly destroyed the barrier of the pill refining platform in front of the many martial warriors in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. This undoubtedly made the Dan Alliance lose face, and he became an irreconcilable enemy with the Dan Alliance. But Yang Miao did this only to be able to capture Tang Ao to refine pills for himself. A peak 9-star alchemist at the 5th layer of the body refining realm was really too easy to control. As long as he obtained Tang Ao, it would be equivalent to obtaining an endless supply of alchemical pills. Although Tang Ao's cultivation had risen to the 7th level of the body refining realm, in Shui Can's eyes, there was not much difference between a 7th and 5th level body refining realm martial artist. Although there were 7 people here, Shui Can did not think that they were qualified to compete with him. Pill Master Tang Ao, Shui Can, am also ranked 23 on the Hidden Dragon rank. As long as you release your soul remembrance and let me plan an imprint, I can guarantee that you can safely leave the Hidden Dragon Crypt. Hearing Shui Can's words, Tang Ao was a bit speechless. Tang Ao looked at Shui Can like he was looking at an idiot. If it was said that Tang Ao was only at the 5th level of the body refining realm before, then Tang Ao really did not have the confidence to challenge an Origin realm martial artist like Shui Can. However, after Tang Ao consumed the first supreme grade essence nurturing pill, Tang Ao's cultivation had already risen to the 7th level of the body refining realm. Chapter 1525. Seeing this scene, Shui Weihong and the others were shocked. Could it be that Tang Ao's cultivation had been stuck at the peak of the 7th level of the body refining realm for a long time? Could it be that Tang Ao's cultivation had been stuck at the peak of the 7th level of the body refining realm for a long time? However, Shui Can knew that wasn't the case. Shui Can was the same as everyone else. He was stunned at first, but he quickly thought of something. Back then, Tang Ao had swallowed a supreme quality vitality cultivating pill on the alchemy platform. Although Shui Can wasn't an alchemist, he knew a lot about strategic cultivation resources like the supreme quality vitality cultivating pill. Shui Can had naturally used the vitality cultivating pill many times to reach his current level of cultivation. According to Shui Can's knowledge, if one wanted to use the supreme quality vitality cultivating pill to cultivate, even the lowest grade supreme quality vitality cultivating pill couldn't be directly swallowed. Even the lowest grade supreme quality vitality cultivating pill contained a terrifying amount of primordial qi. Even though Shui can had the cultivation of the first level of the origin martial realm, if Shui can directly swallowed a supreme quality vitality cultivating pill to cultivate, Shui can wouldn't be cultivating. In that case, Shuizan would not be cultivating, but courting death. The terrifying primordial qi contained in the supreme quality vitality cultivating pill could definitely make Shui can explode in an instant. Moreover, it was different from most other medicinal pills. The medicinal effect of the supreme quality vitality cultivating pill wasn't gentle at all. Instead, it was very violent. However, Shuekin had personally witnessed Tang Ao swallow a 9-star supreme quality vitality cultivating pill that he had concocted on the alchemy platform. But now, other than the primordial qi around Tang Ao fluctuating greatly, there was nothing wrong with him at all. Not to mention a 9-star supreme grade essence cultivating pill. Even a 1-star supreme grade essence cultivating pill would most likely cause the martial artist who swallowed it to explode. However, when Tang Ao was only at the 5th level of the body refining realm, he didn't explode after taking a 9-star supreme quality vitality cultivating pill. That was something to ponder. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't the first cultivator on the Flying Star continent who could directly swallow a supreme quality vitality cultivating pill and still survive. Before Tang Ao, the leader of the Flying Star Alliance, Lu Chuanjia, had taken a 3-star top-grade vitality enhancing pill. After Lu Chuanjia consumed the 3-star supreme grade essence nurturing pill, the yuan qi in his body surged, but it did not explode from the vast yuan qi in the supreme grade essence nurturing pill. It was also because of this incident that everyone had a clearer understanding of Lu Chuanjia's cultivation. Although they were both peak martial artists at the first level of the origin realm, Lu Chuanjia was a peak martial artist within peak martial artists. Most people naturally agreed with this statement, but the warrior who ranked 11th on the Hidden Dragon list did not think that Lu Chuanjia was that strong, so he challenged Lu Chuanjia. But in less than 3 rounds, that martial artist who was also at the peak of the first level of the origin realm already died by Lu Chuanjia's hands. Now that Shuekin had seen Tang Ao survive after swallowing a supreme grade essence enhancing pill, he did not think that Tang Ao was like Lu Chuanjia, whose cultivation and physique were extremely strong. That was why Tang Ao could absorb and refine the supreme grade essence enhancing pill. Chapter 1526. Otherwise, if Tang Ao knew that the supreme grade vitality cultivating pill he refined was so overbearing, Tang Ao would not have chosen to refine such a high-grade supreme grade vitality cultivating pill on the alchemy platform back then. After 2 lifetimes of cultivation, Tang Ao understood the logic of an innocent man getting into trouble because of his wealth. Eat more of the spirit-nourishing pill. Just as Shuekin was waiting for Tang Ao's reply, as if he was certain of his victory, Tang Ao suddenly said this. Tang Ao's words naturally caused Shuekin and the others to be stunned. However, it did not take long before a female warrior with an exquisite figure recovered and could not help but laugh out loud. The spirit-nourishing pill was not a commonly used pill. If one did not have a certain understanding of pills, they might not even know about it for the rest of their lives. However, the warriors who needed the spirit-nourishing pill were a very special group of people. During a warrior's cultivation process, accidents were everywhere. Many warriors would suffer from head injuries or the reverse flow of yuan qi during cultivation, resulting in head injuries. Some of these injuries could be healed, but most of them could not be healed. Warriors who suffered head injuries that could not be healed would often have mental problems. At this time, the spirit-nourishing pill was naturally produced. The spirit-nourishing pill was specially used to alleviate the symptoms of these warriors. Due to the special nature of this pill, the side effects were very small. Therefore, it could be said that the more one ate, the better the effect. Now, that Tang Ao asked Shui can it take more of the spirit-nourishing pill. He was naturally scolding Shui Can for having a mental problem. Seeing the female warrior laugh, a male warrior beside her immediately said, "Junior sister Yin Shuang, why are you laughing?" After this person asked, the others, including Shui Can, looked at Yin Shuang. Yin Shuang chuckled when she saw that everyone was looking at her. She then said, "Lu Chuanjia has an only son, Lu Xingjin. However, apart from Lu Xingjin, Lu Chuanjia also has a foster son, Lu Tianba. I'm sure you all know about him. It's just that this Lu Tianba is born a fool, and this spirit benefit pill is specially made for martial artists like Lu Tianba." When Yin Shuang said that, Blood Moon Scarlet and the others laughed. Although it was true that Shui Can was in the origin realm, he was only a bit stronger than Yin Shuang, Shui Yuehong, and the others. Among the 6 of them, any 2 of them could easily defeat Shui Can. Therefore, even though Shui Can's cultivation was slightly higher, he did not act too domineeringly. If that happened, Shui Can was worried that he would arouse public anger and be attacked by Yin Shuang and the others. For Shui Can, the most important thing now was to capture Tang Ao. As for Yin Shuang and the others, he would have plenty of opportunities to deal with them in the future. Alchemist Tang Ao, is this your choice? You're a smart person. It's hard to imagine that you would make such a stupid choice. As Shui Can spoke, he slowly walked towards Tang Ao. If it was before, when Tang Ao was in the 5th layer of the body refinement realm, Tang Ao would have no choice but to run if he encountered an origin realm cultivator like Shui Can. But now that Tang Ao was in the 8th layer of the body refinement realm, there was no need for Tang Ao to run. If it wasn't for Blood Moon Scarlet, Yin Shuang, and the others, Tang Ao would have taken out the origin Sacred Heaven Bow to show Shui Can what cruelty was. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.